Okay, review of current agenda items. I think we may need to move 8G up to engineer 6B because they have two items that are the same topic. It's with the Vector truck.
Mm-hmm.
So we should probably consider looking at both of those at the same time. Want to do that? You guys,
We're
think
doing
about
what
that?
now?
Public Works 8G up to
Yeah.
engineer
Oh,
B.
up to D engineer.
8G. So we can consider both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't see any other changes. Do you all have any? I guess I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
Seconds. Any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think I have to abstain from this vote
Do you?
Why?
because it's my proposal.
I'm just moving it in the agenda though. I mean,
I'll say you're still a 2-vote win, so I'll just abstain and better safe than sorry.
okay. Does that count as a majority since it's 2 out of 3 present?
Majority of the quorum.
One abstain. Motion passes. Okay, consent calendar approval of November 18, 2025 regular meeting minutes and November 25, 2025 special meeting minutes.
I make a motion, we accept that minute as stated. November 18th and November 25th.
Okay, Don makes the motion.
I'll second.
Aaron seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, conflict of interest. If anybody has a conflict of interest with any items on the agenda, please state them. I know Aaron mentioned you have one right now.
I think for the clarity of perspective, I think I probably should present that from the podium, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Scott, that you think that's reasonable? Yeah?
Okay, well, thank you for that. And if there's any others that come up during the course of the meeting, please state them. So on to item 5A, approved dismissal, Benish 2025 Hermosa Drainage and Sewer Assessment and Improvement Plans Award from the July 22, 2025 regular BOT meeting. And so I know we have some things to discuss about this. I'm of the opinion that we should table this one and the next one for now until we do some more research on this. So are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Motion to table. I do think we should have a discussion period on that and flesh out some of it. And I know Joan has some things to present too. Motion to table, Donna seconds. So let's go ahead and enter discussion. Joan, would you like to present?
Well, few things. I have spoken to Headwaters. We had a meeting about this. I spoke to Bridget about this. And the first thing I'll say is that Headwaters does not support a change at this date because we're going to lose a lot of time for one thing. We've already lost 25 days, it should have been, maybe it has been worked on. It's still with finish. I can say I haven't seen a bill from them or anything, so I don't know. You're going to lose 7 days when you rewrite the bid because it does have to be rewritten. I was under the impression, and I think Aaron was too, that we could just use the same bid. Unfortunately, we can't because that bid was originally written to request two bids, one now and one down the road for, and we need to get it into one or we lose twice as much time. It said that the original project is a scoping grant with a feasibility design, and the second bid would have been the environmental, the environmental half can't be bid until the initial data was gathered. However, Anthony has done both already, so if we rewrite the bid, we save a lot of time there. But you're looking at minimum of a week to rewrite the bid. Publish it twice, there's 2 weeks, that's 14 days. A deadline to submit another week. Review of submittals, depending on how many you get, I would say a week. Meeting to appoint, even if you did it within the 2 days, there's still 2 days. And how long it would take another company to review and get set up to continue this project is, who knows? I mean, that could be much longer. Right now, we're at 62 days. So that's two months. And I don't know if you have, I'm sure you have all seen this. I don't know if you have a copy right now of our schedule. So we're right here in December already. And the project ends in July 27th. So we have a year and a half to complete all this. If this first portion, phase one, was completed, that's only 15% of the project. However, as far as I know, it's not, phase one is not completed. We haven't had the community meeting. I haven't seen any surveys done, which is all in that. And of course, then the prioritization report, that may have been done.
Yeah, I have a lot. I have a lot done. We have 2 years. Bridget wanted that July just to be safe and have like a buffer,
Well,
but
yeah,
2 years to complete it.
according to Blair, we didn't have 2 years. It starts from the date that we received notification, even though we couldn't do anything.
Mhm.
So it might be a little shorter than that. Anyway, that shows you that our timeline is not long for everything that's listed that we need to do. And some of the other problems would be just normal delays that you run into all the time, which we run into already. I mean, and we're not even counting those. So once you switch, because you haven't got your license yet, so we would,
It's,
we,
I've had it since the 13th.
because yesterday the state said they hadn't issued it.
I just gave them all the.
Yeah, we're gonna cover that in
So that makes a big difference in this also.
right, we're gonna go over that in the upcoming agenda items, so let's just.
So, yeah, okay, so anyway, with other companies' bids, should another company get it, there's a lot of momentum there lost. And then I have, all kinds of other reasons that are why this project could get behind schedule so easily, but I don't think I want to go through every one of them here. But those were the main points that were my concern. And also, one of my other concerns is the fact that if headlines isn't behind a change, that affects us also, because they have supported the town and spent a lot of money so far on their environmental projects. So also, should we not make deadlines and lose, or we over cost, all that costs the town extra. Plus, I don't want this mess up this grant and with the state either, because that could affect our future grants. And we right now have one in a holding pattern on generators that, the state is saying, okay, but they have to wait for FEMA to look at it and say, okay. And so we want everything kind of to run smoothly. Just my ideas.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Anthony, did you want to?
Yeah, so one of the major, hurdles in completing that grant is to complete the Battle Creek flood model. And so what Dan Fife and I have done is we went back into our records and we pulled up the Battle Creek model that he completed, which shaves off months and months of time, having us already have the model versus someone trying to recreate it from scratch. Plus, they were trying to do a 2D HEC-RAS. We already have 2D HEC-RAS. They'll have to go from a 1D to a 2D. So there's a transformation there. So we had already done all this over a year before the lagoon started. And so that's why I'm not concerned very much about the time frame being 60 days or whatever behind. We had plenty of time. And I think a big thing is the FEMA is kind of in a holding pattern themselves. That brick grant program's gone. We got like the last one out of the gate. And so we're gonna have to rethink and be clever how we look for funding when we apply for grants, because this is just engineering, it's just scoping. So nothing will happen without us getting funding for construction. And so that's gonna be critical on how that ties into things like our SRF loans and our other parts of our infrastructure. So.
Okay, thank you.
Which part did you say you already have the good criteria?
It would be the hydraulic model.
Okay, that's the same one, the same hydraulics used at Food Study, but it's doing another.
We did one from that. So we took the Fertile model and we created our own by adding the lagoon.
Okay.
Okay, so I know that, so I was talking to Headwaters today and, she is in favor of staying with Benish. I know that there's been some discussion on if they still have the, available people or people available to do it, due to everything that happened here recently. So I think if the board does in fact vote to table this item, and then likely will table the next one as well, that we should have a meeting with the involved parties and we can discuss everything together and kind of see where we're at. And I know I would ask that Aaron would be at the meeting too. And if Donna wanted to be present, we'd have to do a quorum notice. But I think going, at least for now, in my opinion, we should table this and have that meeting, with Benish, with Headwaters, with the state. I talked to Jim today and he said he was willing to do it. And I hope Anthony, being the town engineer, would also be there too. And then we can kind of discuss how this is likely supposed to work, given certain scenarios, let's say, depending on who's doing what. So I guess that's all I have to add to the discussion. Is there any further discussion, Aaron?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, this is very much is a Benish related discussion, and we really haven't had have them put somebody in position to give their first hand, like through emails are not, I'm not an email person. Look at me in the eye and tell me what you're going to do for us kind of person. So, I think we definitely need to, that could, as far as I'm concerned, that's almost the breaking point. If for me, as to whether we stay with them is whether or not they show us that, yeah, if we do this, we're going to be full on. Because as I understand, if this goes sideways, it could, as Joan mentioned, damage our ability to get other grants and other things in the future. And that is really not something this town wants. So we definitely need to make sure, however this goes, that it's not we'll try to get it done. So we are getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Donna, did you have anything to add?
No, just, hey, you don't have a time, date or anything set up yet, do you?
It was contingent upon, a motion to table, passing, I think. So, Anthony,
So one question I have is when it's, dismissal of Benish and then approval to re-advertise and request for proposal, that doesn't disqualify Benish from resubmitting their qualifications with their new staff, right?
Correct.
So that would kind of be important since half of their staff are gone, including myself and the town planner and the chief designer of the sewer rehab and everything.
right, yeah,
I mean, they need to provide their new qualifications.
yeah, absolutely.
So that would, doing those things wouldn't disqualify them, but it would allow them the opportunity to provide those things that you're asking for. If they have somebody here locally that can support the grant, then they can produce that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
And then I would pay for Dan Fife to come down and, show you his, have a discussion with you on his abilities, what he's done with the model. I'm sure you can probably bring it up on the screen and show you where we're at and how far out we are. Even though we're having some delays with this whole
absolutely.
false start.
Yeah. Well, I think that would be wise to do at any rate, you know, maybe, before we make a final decision, and just to, I guess, know what we can expect from the future, so to speak. Uh, I don't know, to me, this is something that the town needs to really proceed slowly on, and maybe, and that's just my opinion, and obviously it's uneducated in this field. And so part of that is why I do want to move slow, but, I just want to make sure that we don't inadvertently do something that would jeopardize our ability to get grants, or to, jeopardize our good reputation that we have with the state now, which was largely due to your work, Anthony. So, um, anyways, I guess, is there any further discussion on this one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. So, do we want to table the next one as well, since they're both related?
Yeah, we have to, right? I guess.
I
Yeah, I'll
think,
make that motion.
yeah. Okay, Aaron makes the motion to table. Seconds. Any further discussion on that one? We kind of covered it on the last one. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Um, Moving on to, engineer SIG, or engineer. So, with the issue that we just discussed with the licensing thing, Anthony has provided us with some, documentation.
So what they're referring to is, so there's two licenses when you're a professional engineer. There's the license through the Technical Board of Professionals, and then there's the license through the Secretary of State. Anthony Theodoro and Company is licensed through the Secretary of State as since the 10th of November. Anthony L. Theodoro PE is an older license that I've had since 2019 through the Technical Board of Professionals that I had to have when I got my professional engineering license in South Dakota. I was still living in Michigan at the time, so they make you register a business to associate with your PE license. So I reinstated that license on the 13th, and Anthony Theodoro and Companies has a DBA of Anthony L. Theodoro PE. So those are things are all tied together. I'm in good standing. ATAC is in good standing, and that's the entity that you're contracting with. The three contracts that are listed here are for a building official, a licensed operator, and a certified planner, who are all my staff members. And so those are unrelated to my PE license. The only thing that would be stamped would be, for example, the floodplain related stuff that they referred to from the grant. Although I'm allowed to stamp that for the board. They have a technical difficulty with their database. So even though I paid my reinstatement on the 13th and all they need to do is make that update in the database. They've had technical difficulties this whole time. If you go on their website now, it says, there's a banner and it says we have technical difficulties. But I also have an email chain with the technical professionals letting them know that I have detractors that are saying that there's an issue there and they're trying to get it resolved as soon as possible. But there's nothing that's out of order with my license related to my PE license. So again, ATAC is registered with the Secretary of State. We have an EIN number, all that stuff.
Okay. So, Mr. James, have you been able to look over this email chain and things?
Just, and this was handed to me, I think, just before the meeting,
I
so
know, yeah.
I looked at it a little bit, I mean, you know, I don't know, it's certainly not my desire to cause issues for Anthony, you know, I look forward to hopefully working with him for a few years from now, but, you know, if it were, I mean, if it were, you know, like me in my legal capacity, and you were asking about my license, you know, and I questioned, what I have going on with the Secretary of State for my business has nothing to do with my professional qualifications. And so, statute seemed to say the professional license has to be active. We have at least somebody, again, I didn't make this call myself, so I don't, you know, I didn't verify it, I don't know. But somebody claims that, I think it's from Headwaters, they called the engineering licensing board and they said it's not currently active. If somebody told me my law license wasn't active, that's it, I have to shut it down. I mean, I can't go do cases, I can't go do anything.
There's a difference in your PE license, sorry to interrupt, and the business license associated with your law, right? So your company,
Yeah,
Bill's law, and then it's
Right.
associated with your.
My company wouldn't shut it down, but I'd have to shut it down, but personally. So like, I truly, it appears to me that this is truly a bureaucratic, technical, you know, temporary issue.
Right, yeah.
That I hope is resolved quickly, but it's technically there. I mean, I can't say it's not there. You know, when it is. But I mean, that being said, I mean, I don't mind, you know, making a follow-up call to the same, you know, board, you know, tomorrow or whenever to have that discussion and say, hey, you know, maybe give me a little more insight into this issue he's having and may make me give you a little more confident recommendation on it. But for now, I mean, again, that's the information we have, so.
And I will say that the three items A, B, and C on the agenda are unrelated to my PE license. So the first one is on-call building official. So that's related to John Burkhart's, you know, residential building inspection license. The operations contract is class 1 water wastewater license, so that's not related to that. And then the on-call planner is Neil Putnam's, you know, certified planner credentials. So those things are ATAC, right, which is Anthony Theodore and Company. So we're allowed to offer those services unrelated to my PE license and their problems with their database. So.
Okay. So in this case, since this is not for engineering contract, but for operations contracts, Mr. James, does that still fall under the ordinance of the engineer having to have an active license?
I mean, I did not, I think I looked at these agreements a couple of weeks ago and it was not with that question in mind, you know, I wasn't looking for that issue.
Okay.
And so like, assuming that the agreements don't refer to engineering services, then I think he's right. But if there's references to engineering services that I'm just neglecting or haven't, because I haven't looked at it in a while, then I think, you know, that would be a problem, but yeah. So,
Okay.
As you can see, it's on page 30, And it shows the T and M and it says, operator in charge, shift operator, shift operator. These are all, operator time. It's in that contract. And then when it comes to, the on-call planner, you have just the planner time and then, grant writing.
It looks like there's some references to professional services in 5.1 of the terms and conditions. It doesn't specifically say engineering professional services, but I'm kind of assuming that's one of the categories it covers.
Planner.
Yeah, so probably covers both.
So in your opinion, the town should wait until the license is stated as active from the state in order to continue.
I would say that for
considering the
the,
ATAC contract.
oh, I'm sorry, Chair, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Fine.
I would say that for these contracts, since it's not quite the same concerns we're having about the FEMA grant, if we wanted to add a provision to these agreements to say contingent on his securing licensing, I don't think that would be a problem. You know, again, if for some reason, you know, I don't expect this to happen, but, you know, 2 weeks from now, we go, oh, well, there's a big problem, maybe take this list. Well, then we can just, you know, we have that contingency built into the agreement, we can cancel. So I think that that's what I recommend, is to add a contingency like that, to say.
And you can see when you go to the portal.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
So that's the website.
And they told me it's not,
Right.
it's something that I have not done.
Yeah.
It's their issue.
Right.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, just for everybody, if they didn't catch what was going on. So Anthony submitted his payment and his paperwork to get his PE officially.
So, not my PD, my business license associated with my
Okay,
PD.
yours.
My PD license is valid, it's been valid, it's never lapsed or anything.
Okay,
But
well,
when you work for a company, you don't need to have a company associated with a PD license, you're practicing under another company. I've been that way for 3 years.
okay, so it's
Under
just
KLJ and Benish, yeah.
so it's just the business license. So
Correct.
he submitted his payment and paperwork on, what was it, November 13th?
Yes.
And that system has been down since October 21st. And here we are at December 2nd, and the state has not been able to remedy the situation. So technically, so we're considering if we're going to get tripped up by that technicality by possibly approving these agreements without it being listed as active with the state, which is a technicality as far as I can tell. And on their website, they say they've been down since the 21st of October and with no estimate as to when that's going to come back. So I guess as far as the agreements or the ability to enter into agreement goes, I mean, I personally would be okay with making the motion to approve contingent upon the ATAC business license coming through. And that just to make sure that we have our bases covered. Are you guys, does the board have an opinion on that? Or?
I feel that, what you're saying is the way we should go, so that it doesn't move it up from any more than what it has.
Aaron, do you have an opinion on that particular part of it?
Yeah, this one we're looking at is related to building inspection. It's pretty much explicitly on-call building official.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the first contract on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm just kind of a thought having, is this like an emergency? We have to approve it now thing? Is there a reason that this is a has to be approved right now thing? Is there an emergency building official need that we have to have? So that we can't just wait until we make sure that I is dotted and T is crossed, or whatever you want it to be called.
We were getting requests, in fact, a first time one from my crop. So,
Yeah, we got another notice of a booster pump leaking, so we're gonna have to start addressing all that stuff too soon. Very soon. Well, I guess what I'll do is I'll make a motion to approve engineer A on-call building official. And is there a second to that?
Second time.
Donna seconds. Is there any further discussion on this one?
Oh, was that with the contingency or without?
Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and, thanks for the reminder. Let's go ahead and.
Can we approve all three of those with the contingency?
Yeah, I think we will end up doing that. However, I'd like to amend the motion to add the contingency that the ATAC license comes through from the state.
You doing that as an amendment?
Yes, sir.
I'll second that amendment.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the new motion should, or the original motion was amended and should read, approve the ATAC on-call building official consulting service agreement with the contingency or contingent upon the ATAC license coming, being active through the state, I guess we can say, and it will comport with the ordinances. Okay, is there any further discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. So on engineer B, we do have a little bit of overlap with the vac truck part of that one, and then the vac truck proposal that Aaron submitted. So I guess what we can do is, if you don't mind, Aaron, you can go over the proposal.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, we can have that fresh in our mind, and then we'll look at this one too. And maybe we'll be able to ask you and Anthony questions on it.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this one from the
Okay,
podium, just because, it's
yes, sir.
kind of the thing. Nope. Hi, everyone, I'm Aaron Service. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, so we all bought a vac truck about 8 months now ago. It's kind of been sitting quite a bit. Recently kind of started to put together a plan to get it running. But the who's gonna run it question came up, and I honestly don't want to run it, but somebody needs to do it, and I'm way more than willing to put together a team. I have experience running everything from lawnmowers to fighter jets. So I know how to run a machine and do it safely. 6,000 pounds of hydraulic fluid, not a problem. I know how to do it safely. Liquid oxygen, not a problem. The truck that sucks our waste out of holes, not a problem, but it is a dangerous machine. And I think one of my big reasons for wanting to be involved is because I want to make sure that every single time that truck is taken out, it is done right first 100% of the time. And we never have to worry about things going sideways. I'm meticulous like that as an operator. I would want, because it is a dangerous job. I would want $24 an hour to operate. So because I am on the board, there's a $5,000 limit. If you look at where did I put that? It's in there. Item 3, yeah. So board members can only be compensated up to 5,000. So at the $24 an hour, that caps out at 208 full hours. So I did the math on that, and I figure, so these trucks should be run about 500 feet a minute, or yeah, an hour rather, should be able to clean about 500 feet an hour. But being a truck that's kind of still getting learned, still got some bugs to work out, I would say a slow ramp up, so like 250 linear feet per hour. But what that comes through is and that's item 7. What that comes through is that 208 hours from that time maps out to about 16 miles of line a year. And we only have about 8 miles of sewer line in the town from what I can calculate, and we're not gonna clean every line twice. So pretty much that's a lot of truck hours that are never gonna be used. The absolute maximum I figured for the entire yearly cost of the truck, if it was used the maximum 208 hours a year, would be just shy of $15,000. But that's again, if you were gonna clean all the lines twice every year, and that's not reality. We might do half of the lines in the first couple of years, just because we're kind of working through the early stages. But yeah, Chief, I think the whole reason this truck was purchased by the town was to save money on this process, to get the best bang for our buck. And I figured $24 an hour per operator fulfills that without really hemorrhaging the town. The one holdback is a CDL, but we have people, including one other board member, who do have CDLs that could drive the truck when needed. Not really anything to do with its actual operation. Once it's where it needs to be, it parks and sits there for a while. There's a full safety manual I found on the website. Interestingly enough, there's actually a class you can go to in Illinois where they spend 3 days in the manufacturing company that made the truck doing a hardcore 3-day course on how to run it. That would be kind of a down the road thing for what I think should eventually be a job held by a fully formally employed town public works person, somebody on payroll, not a contractor, not a subcontractor, someone on payroll for the town, go to the CDL, the class, and all the bells and whistles to do it. But that's after they get a few years training with current public works director. But yeah, so that's pretty much where I got. I don't know if anybody has any questions, any curiosities about it.
Yeah, is there any questions out there for Aaron on this proposal? Dan?
So is full liability on him then if anything goes wrong?
No, this is what the town liability covering.
So you basically are a town employee.
Not exactly. The town attorney could probably explain the reasons for that better than I can. As not being an employee, being a contract rather than employee.
There, you may know this, Dan, I don't know, but there's a special, provision regarding town board, members being able to do a certain amount of services in a year, right? It's limited to 5,000. And so, as part of that, I mean, he can't be an employee of the town and also have supervisory responsibility over himself, right? So, when I read that statute that's up to the 5,000, it's about sort of offering services as a contractor.
Correct.
And so that's all this is. It's just contractor work that he's got this sort of agreement to do. He's not becoming any kind of W-2 type employee, and we wouldn't have, the IRS has like a 20-part test about whether you're an employee or contractor, and he wouldn't meet, most of the criteria because we're not setting a schedule, we're not telling him exactly what to do all the time, we're not having a punch clock. We're not having to do those things. So it's intended as a contractor agreement. And again, specifically limited to that 5,000 limit. So if he goes over the 5,000 limit, it's a big problem, right? That becomes like actually potentially theft because it's unauthorized by statute and it's taking money from the public. So, but I do see, just while I'm talking, I do see, Aaron, that you put in those CDL changes in section 4. So those look good to me. As far as the concerns I had about that you could not, whoever operated this thing had to have a CDL, even if you're just driving over town roads. And so you've incorporated that, so that's good. But yeah, it's, did I answer your question, Dan?
No, actually, then if he's gonna be a contracted employee, then he should have his own insurance, just as what Ferguson does, and carry his own liability, even though using the town vehicle, and there should be compensation on the vehicle itself and through the town. If he's going to be considered a contractor, then he needs to be a company, his own contractor, and doing the work as a contractor to release the liability of the town.
I think it's a reasonable point to make sure that our city insurance allows for us to basically have a contractor with our permission doing that service and still maintain our coverage.
And liability.
Right,
period.
but I think that, my guess is it likely does. I have not reviewed that portion of it. But typically, if we're giving them explicit permission to do this as a town, then usually your insurance, vehicle insurance usually covers that type of permission. But we can, I mean, I probably need to check on it to make sure that it's in the
I was
policy.
gonna say, especially when you're dealing with this type of an operation
Sure.
and what it may do to our premiums or what it may do to the liability, we're taking that step. Because it's gonna be a cost to the citizens if something happens. I don't care how safe you are, how
Yeah, that's all under,
structured you are, that if something where he blew 100-foot line out of the ground and we've got to replace it, the money that we thought we were saving is no longer a savings and becomes a liability, and the town insurance is gonna have to pay for that and take that to the next element. That's where a contractor takes that element and puts that responsibility onto himself.
Yeah, I think that, well, I think I've addressed your point by now, that, I do see you have at least a reference to that in paragraph 5, the last thing, which, again, we do have to make sure it is compliant with our policy.
right, yeah, so final bullet in item 5 and also reiterated in, item 10 that, the lead operator or, hold on, liability coverage shall be confirmed by the town insurer. Insurance, workers' compensation and liability coverage shall be confirmed by the town's insurer. So yeah, there are 2 checks in there to make sure that the, town's insurance is comfortable. Now, the town's insurance company is probably the best people to go through. Maybe they have a response they could give us relatively quickly of, is this, how would you insure this? Is this something you would insure? And that's, I guess, a question to ask the insurance company.
I do have excuse me. I do have a question, from, paragraph 5. There, no person lacking required qualifications or certifications may operate the truck. So in this case, does operate also include the jetting function, or is that only meant to include the moving, like driving it with a CDL?
No, that's the full gambit.
Okay, so then, it, per that line, then it would be your, I guess I'm assuming from that then that you would get the required qualifications or certifications in order to operate the truck then, right? Like maybe not the CDL, but the jetter side of it, if there is a.
I looked, and then I ended up just asking the team from Hill City that had it. There's no extra certifications, no extra nothing. It's
Okay.
Take a hose and a pipe, be very careful.
Okay, I don't have any other questions for Aaron. Dad, did you have a quick one, and then Anthony?
Yes, please. And I guess in my own dealings with contractors that we use, whether it be summer mobile, whether it be services at our company, our insurance carrier will not cover that contractor. If he in summer mobile runs into a building, runs into a car, whatever other circumstance, or they're on a property doing pre-work and falling trees or any other circumstance, they will not cover that from an individual contract. So that's why they all have to have their proof of insurance to do our work for us as a contractor with us lining it up. And we cover the liability of the citizens in the community. So
Okay, thank you.
I really recommend that heavily to the board.
All right, Mr. James, did you have a point to make on that?
I just wanted to add, it may require some kind of right or wrong policy. I mean, that may be possible, that if I read the policy and, it's not a covered situation, typically there are some kind of riders you can add to it. I don't know, maybe they're not willing to, but, I think that might be the next step to take if we're not getting confirmation from the insurer that's covered.
Okay, all right, thank you. Did you have a?
Yeah, and if that's a phone call, that would be mad. I would also suggest, at least for informational purposes for the future, to find out how it would play in if it was a town employee running the Vector truck versus a different situation. Because that's typically, it's kind of, I don't know, in my experience, kind of unusual to have your entire public works department subcontracted in various functions. But that's a third matter.
Okay, Anthony?
Yeah, so I mean, the only reason there's any overlap between 6B and Aaron's proposal is only because the thought process of referencing the factor in my operations contract was, because if we have excess time in our contract as we're building the Madison well and the, ion exchange water treatment plant, we would support those activities because it takes more than one guy to operate it. And the bigger picture was, that if we were operating the camera as a part of the, grant functions, from the FEMA grant, we would know where those problems are in the pipe. One of our people would know where the problems are in the pipe, so that person being with the Vector team would help them to know, okay, yeah, we ran out the camera, 200 feet from this manhole and we ran into, a crossboard, so don't get your jetter stuck there. Or we had a protruding tap and you break it and cause a sinkhole to develop. And so it was really more of a support function, support role. Wasn't necessarily saying that ATAC, my company, wanted to operate the town's Vector trucks, and that's what our objectives were. It was really to just support those operations and direct where in the sewer system they should focus their attention. And maybe some areas need more step cleaning than others. And then, some areas they could do more than one section at a time. So it'd be almost like how you set up to then do the operation. It's really, and then, I mean, obviously I can provide a CDL person if we needed one to support that. So it's the liability thing, I have professional and general liability insurance, I carry that. So that's kind of whatever works to support the Vector truck is all that purpose was of having that in our language. It wasn't critical. It could be removed, honestly.
Okay. Aaron?
Yeah, and just to play off that, that's actually exactly why under 3, compensation helpers may be compensated at board approved hourly rates under separate employment or contract arrangements that comply with applicable statutes. So that's in there to open up the opportunity to build the team from those available and willing, the contractor, so on.
Yeah.
But the big thing about this is somebody to essentially take ownership of the truck, make sure all the documentation's done, make sure all the linear feet that have been blown out are clear, make sure everybody's hours are being and we know everything that's going on with it. So that's really, I guess that's my biggest concern, is making sure there's real ownership of the truck, real sense of responsibility. This is something we need to protect, that you can save a lot of money with, maybe potentially in the future make money with, but that's also something to handle carefully. But yeah.
So maybe one suggestion would be to compartmentalize the responsibilities of those operators of the truck. So some people are responsible for like routine maintenance of the truck, determining what spare parts are needed, when oil changes are needed, when that type of stuff is done. And other people are more familiar with the collection system and are all about, the operational side of things and where that truck should be deployed and how often and that type of thing. Maybe that's the way not to have an overlap.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. So,
And I don't expect any decision on this tonight. I don't know how y'all do. This was I finally got it done so I can present it.
no, I think it's interesting. I know at least in my opinion on it, I think Aaron is capable of doing it. I would like to see the insurance question answered for sure, but I'd also like to make sure that we get you trained up, let's say, with somebody who is, even if if we can get a Hill City guy to come down, if we need to pay him, we do that, just to give you a lot of, on the job experience and training, with, even if, with somebody that's done it before and kind of teach you what to look out for and things like that.
Mhm.
A lot of that stuff isn't going to be covered in manuals. So,
Right.
you know, and I know I'd be more comfortable, personally doing that, but, and I know Linda's not here. I also would like to hear what she has to say about it as well. This is kind of a big decision here.
Yeah, yeah,
So anyways, I appreciate the presentation, Aaron.
yeah.
Does anyone have any further questions for him? Okay, all right, thank you. I guess on that one, we can do, should we table the Vector truck proposal for now? So we do. Yeah. I mean, it was just a proposal. It wasn't a approval or a action item. So, but this one here for engineer B is an action item. So, approve the operations contract for water and sewer, which, as Anthony stated earlier, does have some provisions in there for back truck operation on a, I guess on an as needed basis then.
Yeah, there's 3 references to back truck on page 28, 29, and 30. I mean, I could add language in there saying support tractor truck operation instead of operate tractor truck. So wherever it says operate tractor truck, it's could be support tractor truck operation. And that way it would be the intent of it. And obviously that has a lot to do with when we're cammering.
Okay.
And the bigger thing is that we have an NPDES discharge from the wastewater treatment plant. John was out there today with Franklin Electric, having the pump station, VFDs commissioned and everything. They were right in the middle of it when I was arriving here. I just got here at 3:00. Minneapolis, so.
Nice.
So they were getting that, so they can discharge, even while the transmission doesn't get here till the 9th. They're at a level where they could discharge through the clarifiers and filtration system. So, we want to be able to, continue that operation, draw down detention basin, so.
Okay, yeah, so we'll need this to continue that then. Let's see, there's also flushing hydrants, exercising valves, turning the water on and off.
A lot of these are T&M basis as needed, so.
Okay,
Um,
so then, since a lot of this is on an as-needed basis, then the remaining balance is essentially a budget from which you will work. And it's up to that amount.
Yep.
Covering possibly these items here. Okay. I guess what I'll make the motion to approve and so do we have a motion to approve the ATAC 2025 through 2030 operations contract for water and sewer with the same contingency for the ATAC license that we had on the previous item, that we receive it back from the state.
I'll second that.
We've got a second. Okay, do we have any further discussion on this one?
So this will basically take over the public works department completely on water, sewer operations, inspection operations.
Water and sewer, yeah. Public Works covers other things, street lights, ground keeping and roads, and so you don't want to get into those items.
Yeah, and this mirrors, well, it largely contains the same things that we had in the former Benish contract that we approved, I guess, last summer,
July.
So Aaron, did you have a?
Yeah, one thing that I don't really know why this isn't something I remember discussing last time. But it's a big contract. It's total just shy of $100,000. And isn't there a bid point for these? Trigger point? Financial point where, you know, like, this is enough where we have to bid this out? Because I remember, and part of the reason that's popping back is, what's that?
$150,000, but this is multi-year, so it's time-based.
Yeah, what's the limit on that?
Because the statute, we poked around on it on a few different occasions, and it's very, very broadly worded to pretty much say any contract. There's a $100,000 version and a $50,000 version. And I think the $100,000 version is upgrades, and I think the $50,000 is services, operational services, contractor services.
Okay.
And part of the reason why I'm clicking is when we were talking about the contract that with Chuck Ferguson, is that kind of came up. That question kind of came up because his contract totals something just shy of that.
Well, so one of the things is it says the contract is to be reviewed annually by the Board of Trustees and ETAC, allowing the town or ETAC to request adjustments in the scope of services or pricing as needed. The first year it's $35,700, and anything under $50,000 can be made according to the purchase agency's procurement procedures, as long as purchases are not artificially divided or stay below the threshold.
Yeah. Bid limit for public improvements. This is from the state. Bid limit for public improvements is 100,000. Bid limit for supplies includes equipment and services. Services furnishing of labor, time, or effort by a contractor not involving the delivery of a specific end product, other than reports which are immediately incidental to the required performance. So what it sounds like that almost is exactly what this is a ongoing service contract.
Is this not a specific end product though?
No, it's operating the wastewater and wastewater continuous operation. There's no end result to that. We're never going to wake up one day and not need water anymore.
Looking at,
This is an email. This is an email. You found statute?
I think you're looking at 5-18A-14.
I had just gotten this from Rod Portman at the legislative audit.
And that does have the expenditure limit of 50,000. It's not professional services, as your memory indicated. Yeah.
So then this would not be the professional services since this is the operations. Is that what you're?
Right. If it's professional services, then we have that exception. So we get into that last one. We looked at that, but if it's not, which is we're saying it's not as engineering services, then if it meets that.
Okay. So for the first year, which is only 35,700, then we could possibly pass that and we would have to bid out the remaining 4 years. And if we were going to do that, would we need a new contract then?
I'm not sure where that's the remaining balance of the 20 that ends June 30. Okay. Yeah. Remaining, and that's kind of the thing, is that the remaining balance of a previous contracted amount that was over the threshold.
Right, but now we're talking about just ATAC and the 35.7 for the next bill, June 30th.
That's definitely a Mr. James question, I think.
So would that be permissible, Mr. James, to do the first year at 35.7, and then we would have to bid out the remaining years?
I think you could, in theory, you could even approve it every year, but you'd have to have a new vote. So as long as you're making an agreement to purchase supplies or services under 50,000, then this, you're under the threshold.
It's only under, so we actually originally signed this in February. Nor was it, no, June, July. Yeah, so this is the remaining of the current year that we're in, and once it resets, in July 1st, 26, it will go to 61,880. So it's,
But it says there it's to be reviewed annually by the board, so it's not, there's no guarantee for years 2 through 5. It requires board action on the anniversary.
Okay.
so at the very least, if it's going to be that much per year, once this one expires, once this time is complete, we would have to.
Yeah, I mean, although, I mean, I agree that if we're over the 50,000 per statute, we'd have to bid it out. But if we are in a active contract on that at the time, how does that work out? I mean, don't we have to, can't we still bid out something that we have an active contract for, Mr. James?
I would need to dig into statute a little more to get on that question. That's a little
So
theoretical.
I think but if we wanted to, the board wanted to approve 35.7 so we can keep operating up until June, would we require a new contract here to approve?
This is a new contract, right? So,
A new version of this one
oh,
that doesn't have the years 2 through 5 on there?
I mean, I think that you're looking to keep the amount is the key that triggers the statute. So, I mean, the amount stated on the contract is for greater than, what the threshold in the statute says. So, I think you would need it to be maybe broken down that way.
Okay. So would you be able to get us a new one, a new contract for just the first year at the 35.7?
Yeah.
And then we can go ahead and I guess we'll have to start the bidding process up at the beginning of next summer to continue on after that. Okay. So I guess for that one, so we do have a motion on the floor to approve that with the contingency of receiving the ATAC license from the state, but I believe we need to get a updated version that only includes this first year, so we're not exceeding the limit. So I'll go ahead and call for a vote, but we really need to, we need to let this motion fail, and then I guess we'll just well, let's go ahead and have the vote then. So all those in favor of the motion on the floor? All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, motion fails. So, Anthony, if you can, get us the updated version of this one and we can, consider that one at a future meeting. And if, I know this is kind of time sensitive, so if we need to do a special meeting, we can go ahead and do that, I think. Are you guys okay with that? Aaron and Donna?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go on to consider the approval of ATAC 2026 call planner and grant writer consulting service agreement. It's item engineer 6C. So I'll go ahead, I'll just make the motion to approve with the same contingencies as the former two motions.
I'll second that for decision.
Any seconds? Okay, would you like to open discussion up then?
Yeah, just like immediately drawing the distinction, it makes sense that this one is for an end product. So it's a little bit different than, it's 71,860, but to an end goal. There's an end product of grant writing and extraterritorial agreement.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. And thanks for making that distinction and illustrating what the end product really means in there. So, okay, do we have any other discussion points? Any questions from the audience? Mr. James?
I just want to say that this one doesn't have the same problem as the last one because I think this falls under professional services.
Oh, okay.
The planners are professional, I think under the definition of professional services.
So we have that one as well.
Yeah,
And is this also an end product point too?
I mean, that both those rationales would apply.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for making that comment and that clarification. So do we have any further discussion on this one? Yes, sir.
Sorry, this is another one, right? That's just mostly a carryover from Vanish. Good. Yeah, we've hashed this out plenty, so I don't know unless you feel it's worth anything to go through the item list again of what's included in it. With a little more, just a refresher. Did we have folks here?
Yeah, if you'd like to, just kind of, just, I guess, you want to just give us a quick summary of what it entails, Anthony, just for
Sure.
the record and anybody who wasn't here for the first discussion?
Sure, so, there's two parts to it, kind of try to simplify things. One is the extraterritorial agreement with Huntington County. So that's this for Neil Putnam to complete that, exercise. It's halfway done, so it's just completing the remaining agreements with the county and, getting that in place. The other aspect, so is the grant writing. So we had two grants that we were going to go after. One thing that's in our favor is a lot of these notices of funding were put on pause, and now they're opening them back up again, the federal government. But in that interim time, we've seen that, so for, the one was for water meters and through the Bureau of Reclamation. So they just recently notified us that, that money's going to be available. And then the other one was for the at-grade crossing elimination. That had a lot to do with, accessing, it's called transportation alternatives. And so this grant, what I'm saying is to take that original proposal of getting a transportation alternative across the railroad tracks, to instead apply. There's a deadline for a letter of intent on July 15th, 2026, for the Department of Transportation's transportation alternatives program. So that could give us an alternative grant for pedestrian, kids going to school, that bridge alternative that we talked about. So, and we originally had talked about going across the tracks through the FRA one. And, another option, because you'd have to study different alternatives, another option would be one that would cross the highway to get to the other side. So it gives a little bit more of a, broad, these are the two, these are the pros, the cons versus doing nothing. And that's what they like to see when you're applying for a grant, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. I also see one for the water meters on here too.
Yeah, that one's still requesting money. They basically do a 50% cost share, and the maximum award is 125,000. So when we have our money that we already got on the side, then they'll match that money 100% for us to do water meter upgrades.
Okay, and so
That's the same program.
right, and so that will help us pay for the new upgraded water meters.
Correct.
Will be remotely read,
Correct.
anything like that. Okay, great. All right, do we have any further discussion? Any questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. So planning, zoning, we don't have anything on there. Let's move on to public works, streets. W, Aaron, where are we at with streets?
No particularly big news. I've got another load of rocks in the back of my truck, so we'll be teaming out this week to go fill more potholes, and then once that's out, then we'll get the road base and patch them up. Should be good to go. Oh, and the Christmas decorations stuff isn't really on here at all, but I guess it's going to be involving streetlights all throughout there. Checked on the Christmas lights that we got from Rapid City. There were 27 giant snowflakes. 17 of them are pretty much ready to go. The other 10 have various electrical issues, missing bulbs, broken parts. So those ones will be rough to get up by this year. But we have 24 brackets, and they're essentially a post that just needs to be strapped to the lights. So it sounds like we've got some potential volunteer options to get those up.
I'll run the backhoe. The bucket.
All righty, so
Yeah.
do we have that figured out then?
Mhm. Yeah, Sir volunteered his backhoe, so.
All righty. Thanks, Chuck. Um, let's, we need to, I mean, we don't have a decision point on there, but can we make the, kind of a,
When is this supposed to?
yeah, can we schedule a time to put them up? We're gonna have to do that offline, I think.
Probably, yeah.
Saturday's supposed to be.
And we've got, well, I guess maybe worth a little bit of discussion. We've got 15 streetlights on Main Street that I counted. And I'm going down the road, but I think there's 15. But we have 17 good ones, so I think we have enough fully repaired to go on those. I don't know if there's anywhere else you would want to try to put them,
I think that's a little.
Good.
but we could probably find opportunities to put more elsewhere, but I don't know. I guess that's.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out. Get those up. Water and sewer department updates. Sounds like we got a couple of them from Anthony, with the VFDs being commissioned on that. I know I did mention earlier that we did receive a notice of another pump leaking. And, I think, as a town, we're gonna have to, start addressing those issues. I think, Mr. James kind of provided, indication on that in the past, so, so we'll have to, decide, when and how we're going to do that. Anthony, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I can give us some updates because it's more than just a.
Okay.
Do you want?
Yeah, thank you.
So with the wastewater, the transmissions, been shipped today. It'll be here on the 9th, from York Repair. And then we'll get the plan that we had put in motion of that budget to adjust the location of the transmission up out of the basin. So that way that it won't do that again. And then, Franklin Electric was out here today programming the VFD, so that way it can run, and we can run and discharge through our clarifier. And so, so those things, we should have operational here before Christmas holiday, so should be able to operate and discharge, so maybe by the next meeting, I'll have a second update on that. Then for our water, our DWSRF, which is the drinking water one. So, we have the environmental clearances. And so, there's 2 RFQs that I've prepared that are ready to go out. One, they're getting reviewed by the state. One is for our Madison well, so we can select our well driller. And the second one, and I had to get all this data, and that is something to discuss, requesting the files, from Finish. I don't know if they've replied to any of those requests.
I only sent the one, I haven't had time to,
Okay.
because I've been by myself.
Yeah, because we have like the comprehensive plan that we paid for, that they need to provide.
I
us with.
requested that one and I didn't hear anything back from them.
Yeah, they're not providing files, so, and they've been paid in full. Neil needs that for the comprehensive plan completion, and then, I requested files related to the drinking water loan so that we can, complete all the submittals to the state. So, I gave a list to Terry, but I've got what I need. I just had to go back to Pete Walden, remember the geologist I brought on, to talk about the Madison well, where the aquifer's at, why we chose that location. So I just went back to him and he gave me all those original, analyses of the aquifer to put into the file, along with our permit that I wrote, which has our, the casing and profile and all that stuff that a driller needs to see to quote it. So that RFQ is basically ready to go. And then the other one is for the water treatment plant. And so the water treatment plant, we had some drawings. I completed everything in terms of the spec book for that, for it to go out to request for proposals, actually RFP, request for proposals. And the only thing I want to add to that is the drawings that Mark did. We put the treatment plant inside the building that's up on top of the hill. And so I want to provide that to the people bidding on it so that they know, because we're going to do a turnkey RFP. So the equipment manufacturer that replies with the proposal, it would be to provide equipment and install it in the building. So those are the two RFPs that are ready to go off for our drinking water system. And that's what I got done last month.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
I have a comment on the lagoon. As of this evening, the gates to the lagoon are wide open. We have got 3 people in the neighborhood that have cattle. I've personally seen the lagoon with about 15 cows in it. And they're all, I mean, not today, but it has happened in the past, and
Okay.
Lloyd Nichols' cows just run and walk through town the other day.
Yeah.
But we don't need a cow on the bottom of the new gates.
Yes.
Those gates, I think, need to be secured.
I'll go there after the meeting.
Okay. Yeah. I
The
know.
bills are always out.
Did you notice if they were still working in there when you drove by?
There's nobody there.
There's nobody. Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know. Okay, great. Did you have any updates, Chuck, on any water sewer?
No, well, you're looking at on the water. What you're after,
Either one.
what was your question?
Yeah. Did you have any updates on water and sewer that you've been doing?
Yeah, on the water side, we had an issue with the heater in the lower pump house. And that was purchased and through Nelson. So I had him come down and we have electric backup in there, but chlorine is very tough on that kind of stuff. Thermostats and valves and operating pieces get corroded very easily. So we're running about 45,000 gallons a day, which is fairly normal for this time of year. And I think they pretty much covered the sewer business has been going in and out of there steadily working. And pretty much it. And Lord, if you're
Yes, sir. I do have a question. Were you guys able to identify a booster pump that we could use that you replaced these other ones with that does not leak?
well, there's another ones out there on the market, these can be replaced with. And that's one of the wonderful situations with, stuff that's in there and out of warranty, obviously.
Right, yeah. I mean, it said, well,
To replace those, with a different model, brand, whatever, it would not be cheap. But, alternative at that time was a booster station that was $200,000 and, sufficed for several years the way it was done. And I'm assuming that when all the rest of this new stuff gets put in, why we won't need the need for those anymore. However, so that would trigger the question whether you replace them or you don't. Then you got all those on your hands and probably still, you may be able to advertise in a surplus and get rid of them somewhere online, try to recoup some money, but they're roughly $1,000 a piece now with replacements.
right, well, I mean, I think we need to replace the ones that are actively leaking right now, right? And so, if we need to have a board vote on that, we can do that at a special meeting or at the next board meeting. To approve the funds. If that can't be done under your, operations budget for the contract work.
Take a look at it and see, you know, if the connections are similar, then there isn't a big deal about changing them out, you know. Some of them have the mountain brackets that come out on the end and some of them come out the top, and so there'll be some modifications probably that will have to be made to make the new ones adaptable, but it's still cheaper in the long run. I mean, this stuff's all scheduled to be done, and it's gonna take time to get it done, number one. Number two, I mean, what do you do in the meantime while we're dealing with these old ones?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. All right, well, let me know if you need any assistance on that. I can help you
Probably
find
gonna
them.
revisit each site and then get an update on all the, you know, most generally, if they're not functioning properly, why they give me a call, you know, it's leaking, or if it's, the situation is with the leaking and then, you know, neglect somewhat on the homeowners to let them get that far is not a good issue, because then you're getting mold and
Right.
possibly people getting ill and that type of thing, so that complicates the whole situation big time.
Right, yeah, and I think going forward, we'll have to discuss doing an information packet or information sheet that we hand out with people. We hand out with, or to the people that have the booster pumps in their house to remind them that they do need to be checked periodically, just to make sure that if they are leaking, that we can catch them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them are in plain sight, you know. I mean,
Okay, all right, well, thanks for that, Chuck. So we do have some open work orders here. I think these are printouts from, Silversmith, is that right, Terry?
Right, and then I added the couple from Riddles to that.
Yep.
I don't have one.
Okay, yep, and so, we're just kind of using that to catch them right now. And, in the future, that'll be a rotating list and everything like that, once we get that process dialed in. So that's very good, thank you for that. For item E, I'm actually still working on that, so apologize for the delay on that, but I should have that to you very soon.
What is the holdup on that? I don't quite understand, because it's been months and months. And I remember a comment was made, about our other public works man, that he didn't turn his bill in, so he shouldn't be paid for it. Well, here we are, no bill, and we're still gonna pay him, and I think this job was not get done back in February of last year.
This year, but yeah, I just,
I mean, what's the holdup? What's the big secret about it?
there's no.
The citizens keep asking me, why is that not been taken care of? And I said, big secret.
Well, anybody that has a question can ask me. I know that, I've been working on collating the data and stuff like that into a form that's easily understood and easily read. So I know on my end, there's a holdup there because I just have to carve out the time to finish that up. So I do apologize for that, but I did receive the paperwork here about, I think, a month ago. So working on that. So that's what's going on with that one. Approving the protocol for notifying residents when public utility work is being performed. We do not have a protocol fleshed out yet. However, I was able to get a hold of Rapid City and got an email from a guy there. He talked about what they do and gave us a sample, a door hanger for that. So I think that'll be a good start for us to begin to build our own protocol. And so in that case, do we need to schedule a work session to go over that?
Um,
We try doing that offline.
I was gonna
I was gonna make a motion. Motion to, approve creation of a door hanger to notify with 48 hours notice.
Okay,
Who's gonna put them on?
Who's gonna put them out?
Yeah,
Like
put them
actually-
where door hanging around.
would it be the person doing the work?
The contractors, yeah, that's what the email said, right? They give them to the contractor who's gonna do the work, and
You're talking about all contractors then.
whoever's gonna be doing work that's gonna interrupt.
Okay.
Services here.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron, I'll second that motion. Do we have any further discussion on that one? It's kind of straightforward, but
I don't know, just,
Mark?
Yeah, just a question. Okay, you're gonna have the contractors do it? So a contractor's gonna maybe come out from Rapid City? You know what that's gonna cost the town?
oh no, the contractor who's actually going to be doing the work, they have to go out and put it out.
Right, right. And you don't think a contractor's gonna charge you for that time?
Good point.
We'll have to come on ahead of time to notify the people out from our heavy water.
Pretty soon it's gonna be $7,000 to replace a water meter.
I mean, yeah, Dan, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, and in normal circumstance, that's not the circumstance. I mean, if a guy's coming out, no different than the water line that's fixed on Fifth Street. They went to everybody that was affected there. They came up here, found out how many users there were on that line, who was going to be affected by it, and made the contacts. That way they were aware of it that day. They got the bid, they knew what their prices were, they knew what was like, and they handled it. That's all part of it. You know, the city of Rapid City has a little different circumstance too, where they'll alert areas if they're going to have something that's going to be an emergency situation. And they'll work hand in hand with that contract. But it depends on timing, how much time is involved with whatever repair or fix or work that's gonna be done.
Right, and so right now, we're only discussing approving the creation of a door hanger, which is the notification mechanism. We're not actually talking about the protocol yet on doing that. So these are all great points to consider when we are developing a notification protocol. But, you know, I guess the alternative is we have no notification, right? So gonna have to, I guess, flesh out how that should look. And obviously, we want to minimize the impact and cost and everything like that. So these are all great points. And I saw Chuck's hand up there. Did you have something to add, Chuck?
Under normal circumstances, when there's something going on, finance officer is contacted or the assistant finance officer. They make the phone calls and that's the way it gets handled.
Okay.
Depends on the scope of the work 99% of the time. You're gonna have more than one person off or whatever, that's a bigger deal. Lots of these people are not home during the day, so they've got to be contacted after hours. Try to do the best we can, to notify them. I think Terry will attest that many a times when I've talked to her that you need to notify this guy and that guy. Or they're gonna be off or whatever, it's kind of an isolated case probably.
All right. Thank you, Doug. So I think these are all great points to keep in mind when, like I said, when we're considering notification protocol. But right now, we're just discussing creation of a door hanger, which presumably would be used in such protocol. So Aaron, did you have a
Yeah, I mean, I was just
short discussion?
let's make a door hanger. How we're actually gonna move forward with who uses it, it wasn't really relevant until we have a design of a door hanger we're gonna use or format for how we're gonna make it. So kind of going off the rails on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, these discussion points are related,
Yeah.
right? But the creation of a door hanger itself is is only, one possible notification mechanism, right? And so it's not like we're necessarily going to have to implement the things that people are worried about,
Right.
but, so we do have a notification mechanism with the office calling people. We also have a secondary one with the door hangers as well. So,
Oh,
Donna?
I have a dumb question. What does it look, what do you do when they haven't paid the water bill? I don't even know. I know they take out late notices, but how do they handle
Yeah.
that?
Well, if it's too late, they shut it off.
Do they have a door hanger for that? You just knock on the door.
On one of the door hangers, it says if you have X amount of time to pay your bill, and if you don't, it'll get shut off at this date.
And you're in the water bill, so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. So, on to Public Works employee. I think this is, it's probably just an update on what we went over in the work session. There's not an action item associated with this right now on the agenda.
Yeah, I can bring up the kind of where we're at for those who aren't here or
Sure.
have a kind of idea. I don't know. Do you want to give a breakdown of the discussion or one of the?
Yeah, so pretty much this was the result of the work session that we had. The last work session, we went over a couple of things, one of which was discussing what would a public works employee, what would that job look like? A person working as an employee for the town that, in this case, would work alongside Ferguson Construction to help him do the things that he needs to do. So you can see there we got, and this one here, the top one is meter reading. So we do have active applications out right now for that. And I think part of the discussion we'll have with those applicants is, are they willing to do more things or not? But so
Zoom in a little bit.
yeah, there's a little bit of overlap there, not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it was just thrown up there as another thing to put on there for this labor, because we're just kind of brainstorming the tasks that they would likely have to do. So you could see the list there: mowing and weeds, street maintenance, sidewalk salting, different types of snow removal. We discussed having a snow fence. I know one location could be on what's that property called, Chuck? Yeah, with the concrete wall there.
The Great Wall.
Yeah, the Great Wall of Hermosa. So that location has a tendency to drift pretty badly over that wall. So we considered maybe putting a snow fence up there in order to mitigate that. So if we ended up doing that, then that task would fall on this person here, flag duty, building maintenance, tending the yard waste dumpsters, emergency water shut off. Be through the back truck up there, work order processing, inspecting booster pumps and doing locates and stuff like that too. So just kind of brainstorming, like I said, different tasks that person would likely do. So if you guys have any input on that, please let us know. You can either email me or Aaron or maybe even Terry if you don't have too many suggestions. We don't need to inundate her with anything, any more stuff like that. But Donna?
We do have it in the morning at 9 o'clock for a meter reader.
And yeah, and I did,
And she
and I did inform him that we may try to expand those duties, and he was still interested.
Okay.
Full time.
What was that tomorrow morning one?
Yeah, we'll have to do it at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Interesting. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for that update. Okay, so that's where we're at with that. Aaron, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just my general thoughts. I could see us how we're kind of doing things now. We've got Anthony doing a lot. We've got the stuff that Chuck's been doing that we've been relying on him to do. I like the idea of us sooner rather than later getting an apprentice for Chuck, but I think the long term is it's better for us to hire that apprentice as a town. He learns for Chuck. I mean, it could be a contract component, right? That he's essentially got a instructor component Chuck does to his contract, like teaching this new guy how to not make a mess of the town. But for the long term, 5-year apprenticeship, whatever, however long Chuck's willing to put up with us, move forward. But
Well, 99% of that's already taken care of under public works, But, the situation we run into, every time these little honeydews come up, it takes multiple time frames to do this, and not everybody in the world is gonna know where their third shop is, if they need to shut it off for non-payment, or a leak or something of that nature, so it still has to be coordinated through public works to get 99% of this stuff done. Hanging door knockers, on
oh yeah,
possible shut offs and non-payment
and
and
all that.
things like that, I mean, that.
Is that a word?
You just spelled right, I don't know.
Question, I don't see it on that list. What, the town's got 1 or 2 marshal vehicles?
2.
Yeah, we technically have.
Well,
2.
technically,
We've got a Vector truck now. These are assets of the town. Who's responsible and who maintains mileage, maintenance? When it needs an oil change, when it needs a transmission flush, when it needs tires, when they should be rotated.
So it'd be, track equipment maintenance.
Sorry, one other thing. Maybe not today, but another thing that could be added on this list is a wastewater treatment operator. It's a pretty simple certificate. I mean, if we had an employee that could do it, it could save us 50 grand a year.
Yeah, a certain amount for sure, yeah.
and then I added categories like what department and what are the qualifications, because, and this could be a gradual implementation over several years that we eventually though.
Right, yeah, and this is just a brainstorming list of things that this position would likely end up doing at some point, and I know in my discussions with Anthony when he was at Benish before and even ongoing is that, we're relying on them right now to kind of get us up and running and everything. And with the idea that eventually, once the town is large enough and can afford to pay our own person on a full-time basis, then we can transition into a town employee for those things.
Except the town should think about too is buying a vehicle that somebody, like this I mean, it doesn't have to be brand new. You can buy some beater or something just to get them around town.
Yeah, I mean, probably for the interim, we would rely on the person using their personal vehicle. And
Well, then you would have to go with,
yeah, we'd have to compensate them in some way for that. But yeah, eventually.
It's classroom.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is great. Does anyone have any other input on this? Anthony, were you saying something?
Yeah, I will say that I don't think I ever said that we should have a town employee, only because you'd have to give them benefits. And so the reason that things are privatized, I mean, Dodge City, Kansas is completely privatized. It's run by Jacobs. So it doesn't matter what size the town is. It matters what responsibilities the town wants to have or what resources they have to offer to an employee that would need benefits. Small companies like myself now, we have to give benefits if we're going to compete with big corporations. It's a part of the reason they can do what they do and get away with it, right? because they can hold the healthcare over their head. The way we get around it is that we work in a network of smaller entities, and we're able to get around and provide our healthcare. I mean, either through our spouse or however each of us has our benefits. So it costs a lot. That's why Hill City went the opposite way when they did on calls with us, because it becomes a situation where the town of 500 people doesn't have enough for somebody to do. So then they got to find things to do.
Right.
And it becomes a whole other matter when they're looking for things to do. So.
Okay, thanks for that perspective, Trina.
As an observer of the meeting, I kind of thought that Chuck was saying it's hard to find good help, and you asked him 2 or 3 times, do you wanna find help, or do you want the town to find someone? And it was kind of left up in the air, and so that's why we started this process of saying, hey, we wanna keep Chuck, and we want to make sure that there's somebody that can be trained up with him. And it didn't sound like he really wanted to, or was not having good luck finding someone or something. That was the impression I got just sitting in the meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think for the most part, that's correct. I mean, we're trying to think of ways that we can move forward and get the work done while kind of maintaining everybody's expectations going on into the future, I think. I know, I don't know if Chuck wants to make any statements now to that effect, but I don't want to speak for him, but,
No, he's not retiring right now.
No,
right,
no, we don't want that if he doesn't want that.
right,
He's
so,
gonna stay around, make you.
okay, all right. Aaron, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, just as an example, like we mentioned the plant operator. So like we're looking at least in the interim, that's about $61,000 a year. That's a 40-hour a week employee with our health insurance at $25 an hour. And that's just one component of what the perfect person can be doing. So when then we have them bleeding into many of other things, I mean, I think that it really is efficiency wise the best bet for the town to have our own employee versus splintering out into subcontractors. And probably the best bonus of all is that it would be somebody like here in town for X amount of time, hopefully living in town or very close by, here in town for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, ready to do work, on the drop of a hat when it needs to be done. I think is a benefit. Emergency response time, 5 minutes, they get up, oh, somebody calls them, the water's blown out. We have somebody to get up in the middle of the night and go turn that water on. I think it's really important to the citizens for us to have that kind of option, that somebody can run out to your house at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of winter and shut your water off 5 minutes after it blows. But anyway.
All right. Yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, and like I said, too, that we're just kind of trying to get ahead of things that may come up in the future, and we know we're down a man right now, so trying to figure out how we're going to flesh out the solution for that. So anyways, if we don't have any other comments on this, we can move on to the next item. So don't see any out there, so let's go ahead and move on to claims. So I did notice here too, it looks like are these the final payments to Banish on there, Terry?
Yep.
So that may be why we're having issues getting the files back right now. So once these final payments go out, then I would expect they would be forthcoming with those. Mark?
I would want every piece of paper and file and record before they got another penny.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, once you pay them, what motivation do they have to ever send it all?
That's true. I guess we're just, well, technically we do have one other contract with them right now. With the FEMA grant, that one has, the change of that has been tabled as of tonight, so. There is that situation, but that is an interesting point you made, and I don't disagree with the estimation. Mr. James?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't know, did you see there was an email to you? I was copied on it about the end of the day from Venish, somebody Venish about, they mentioned the files in that. You know,
Yeah,
you saw that.
I did. I didn't have a chance to.
They just referenced that they're sending us some kind of release of liability form consistent with where the files are being provided. So I don't, so maybe they're gonna send some document like, you know, I don't know. You agree when we provide these files that you're not suing us for not completing the job, or I don't know what to say, say something like that. But apparently maybe that's their process, and they're gonna get us to that, so.
Yep. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm going to go ahead and forward this.
Yeah, and I can add to that. So with clients that are paid in full at bench, so I've had another client, with a subdivision he was doing up in Boulder Canyon, and he was paid in full. And they sent him that release document, probably a template, standard document. He signed it, and then they released those files. So I don't anticipate them holding files. So we do need to verify them, but yeah.
If they did that, I'd be happy to give them a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that clarification. Okay. With that, do we see any changes or amendments we need to make to this?
No motion on the floor.
There's no
I'll
motion.
make a motion to approve claims as
I second that.
Motion to approve. Any further discussion on this one? Hey, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Marshall report, he's in training right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Update on that?
I called him Sunday night. He was like, how's it going, man? Yeah, just, in the dorms waiting for class. So it's like, he's an actual dorm. Like they're all cooped up. So he's like kind of back in basic training. So he's enjoying it though. He's doing good. Happy to be there. Meeting a lot of people, meeting people from DCI, meeting US Marshals. Yeah, there are guys there from Custer, from Pennington with him. So yeah, making a lot of friends, making a lot of connections. So.
Very good. Yeah, thanks for that. Do either you or Donna want to go over the county log?
Well, I just kind of looked it over. I do have seen the sheriff's department around a lot. The other day, Chuck said, the sheriff just went by and I'm going someplace and I went out and there's that sheriff's car in my yard. He said, it was, the gal that used to rent from us, she stopped by. Like, Chuck said, sheriff's department's going around. But none of them are real paper services and they have an idea to get there doing extra. I asked for extra for pillow bins. Eric is gone. And I don't know, some of these are probably Eric's, aren't they? Probably the first part of the month, might be.
It's 212A, right?
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, there's one.
Sure, yeah. I do see the livestock one that Connie was mentioning earlier.
Working dog.
Service and development. Stampede.
Yes, ma'am.
Suspicious.
Okay, well, very good. So we have anything else on the Dutcher County log? Take another.
We only had 42, so that's not good.
Yeah. All right, very good. So if anyone wants to look into that further, we do have, I think there's extra packets over there with the logs on it. So on to legal. Legal A, appoint Scott James as permanent town attorney. Okay. Permanent is a long time, Mr. James.
I don't know if it's the rest of my life.
Well, it does say permanent though.
So do we have to make a motion or what?
Your original motion, when you just said it was till the first meeting of December, so
Yes, sir.
I was considered interim, and so everything I've signed as interim city attorney now.
Okay.
It is up to you, what you guys want to do, but that's,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what your prior resolution said.
Right, so, I don't think the motion needs to list you as permanent town attorney, because then you'd have to sign that, right? You sign this, but-
That big part.
Yeah, so if we just appointed him as the town attorney,
Yeah.
and that would probably be sufficient, right? Okay, I'll go ahead and make that motion to appoint Mr. James as the town attorney.
I'd look at that.
Seconds, do we have any further discussion on this one? Aaron?
Thank you. I mean, it's been a little while and you've shown us that you can definitely help keep us out of trouble, which is really, really nice. I like that.
Well, I hope I'll reward the board's faith in me here, for giving this opportunity, and I intend to pay it back, and to, again, it's my town too, and I care about it, and that's why I hope I'll produce good work for you. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yep, that's great. Is there any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, great. Thank you, Mr. James. Okay, on to 11B, water rate structure as religious, or the historical / religious category. Say it one day. So we do have updated rate structure and also a possible sample application, which could be used to determine eligibility for a organization for that category there.
Is that what you're here for, ma'am, is the religious thing with the haha?
No, she was wanting to see about changing the minimum from the 3,000 to a lower amount.
Okay. Yeah, so looking at adding the historical or religious category, I guess that would be an action item that we could consider tonight. But if you wanted to make a comment during the items from constituents, then that would be a great time to bring that up. So,
I can comment on this if you.
yes, sir. Yep.
So yeah, this is just a draft that I made trying to sort of explore the request that board member service gave me about doing this. And so again, the explanation for me was we went kind of one of these categories of people maybe getting a bit of a preferential sort of stance on this. So I just tried to create a definition of kind of who would fall into that. It's somewhat broad, but maybe not too broad. I didn't set up the rates because I didn't know what you guys wanted for rates, so that part of the column is blank. So you guys need to decide that. I didn't have any information about that. Essentially, you got to be not for profit. You've got to have a primary purpose of being historical preservation, heritage, religious worship, or instruction. So I think that kind of covers at least the two buildings kind of we had in mind here, or a few buildings we had in mind here in town. But leaves it open if there's a future building that meets that criteria. And then got to be open to the public, so you can't have somebody just run their own church at their house and try to get better water rate. You never know. People may get creative. But and then you got to apply to the clerk for the recognition. And you have that form that it is not real invasive. It just sort of says, hey, what's the purpose of your building? How is it used? Open to the public, to the criteria that kind of proves that. So, and then again, it's just I put it in the clerk's hands to approve or deny, sort of as a matter of function. The person, if they feel they've been wrongfully denied, can then raise it to the town board to overrule or whatever they want to do.
Aaron, did you have a comment?
Yeah, so just as far as the rates, I think kind of the initial request was it that we were pretty much gonna clone with the residential, was that it? At least for the beginning of us attempting to make this work? Is that we would set the historical religious to match residential? Is that kind of where we're going? And I don't know, I like that how it's basically Terry can say, okay, but if it needs more than that, it has to come through the board. So she can, yeah, I think that's a fast process for people. That's nice. I like that.
Would we have to amend any of the ordinances to add that to her, wheelhouse?
Do we have, I don't think we really have ordinances.
I think it's an administrative function. You know,
Okay.
you're basically just saying, does this person meet the criteria of the ordinance, yes or not? And then again, so I think it's a determination you can just make. This resolution is based on, it's borrowed from the prior resolution setting his rates, so it sort of matches what, and I'm presuming she, you know, if somebody's a new building in town, somebody has to decide which rate fits now, whether it's historic, religious or not, whether it's just residential, or commercial, somebody makes that judgment, right now, so.
Okay. So, as far as, action item for tonight, what do you foresee happening here, that we vote to add it, or conceivably vote to add it and then we figure out the details afterwards, or did we want to, just present this for discussion and then at a later date, we can decide on the complete package and then vote that in if we so choose?
You'll have to add a resolution number in.
Yeah,
there,
well,
Right.
yeah,
And
just-
then, so and then maybe I would get you figures over there and then do that.
does anybody else feel like there's, as far as the rates go, does that sound like a good thing? Just go with at least for now, the residential.
Would that address the original concerns that prompted this change?
I think they're under commercial.
Yeah. And they were requesting that change.
So, I see here the difference between, so they were in town commercial, and so they were at the 65. And so then they'd want to go down to the 41. Okay,
Yeah, and just a thought, as far as going any lower than that, I don't know if we should do that until we kind of have, because once we put it out there, we really don't know how many we're gonna get applying for it necessarily. I think we want to gauge that number before we get considered making it any lower than that at the very least.
yeah, so,
You know, like first year, see how many people actually put in.
right, first year, and then consider possibly lowering it at a different, the next year or a different year. Yeah, that's, I saw Trina, then Dan.
Well, I think we should be religious, nonprofit friendly and have it be 10% below the residential. I don't think that would hurt a penny. It would just encourage that type of growth in our community. 10% is just a couple of dollars. I mean, it does add up, but still.
So if we did 10%, it would be, 410, less than $31, so it'd be,
36.90.
36.90. That's a interesting point, Trina. Thank you. Dan?
And I was gonna go on a similarity, but I feel also in circumstances, it is gonna be a case by case as far as where you're at. But aren't you gonna look at sewer also? Because commercial sewer rates are just as harsh as what commercial water rates. So if you're going to do this, you need to do it both angles with them. And if they have very little usage, and what you're gonna find out, for example, if the museum uses less than 1,000 gallons, maybe you can waive the sewer and do only the water, or you can go at half a rate on sewer. But really, you're not helping them if they're struggling right now, especially occupancy, so.
Yeah, and when they came in, they mentioned their water bill, but that bill is all inclusive of water, sewer and garbage, right? Right,
Well,
so,
they don't have garbage.
okay, so in their case, it
Commercial
was,
doesn't have garbage.
okay, so in their case, it was just water and sewer then. So to his point, then
I
like
know, and
they do,
they were using like less than 100 gallons a month,
yeah.
and their bill was like $144.
So, right, so then going forward, then we'll likely need to have a more comprehensive solution to include sewer as well then, right?
Yeah, so we probably need to do the sewer rate structure too.
Yeah, and then we could update this form here to be a water/sewer user status, I suppose. That would probably be sufficient for that, right? Okay, this is all some great points coming up. Um, I mean, do we need to provide direction on that in order to draw up a resolution? Or is that something that you
I
can
mean,
just do?
I could do this based on what this says. And I could do the sewer.
I guess what I'm asking is, does it require a board vote in order to?
For her to draft, I don't
I don't
think
think
so.
so. Like just do that. I mean, could you
Okay.
vote?
All right,
Do you want
great.
those for the next meeting then, or?
If you can,
Okay.
I think that'll be great. Did I see a hand up out there somewhere? Okay. All righty, very good. Well, it is, Mr. James.
I'm sorry, I have one more, just on my section here, that's not just an update on something that I felt I need to let the board know about.
Okay.
I had a conversation with the state's attorney, Tracy Kelly, maybe a week ago or so. She was relaying to me concerns of the county commission, relating to the, hospital district question. And so she was just saying that, or the ambulance district question. She was saying that, essentially the commission was concerned that basically things weren't moving fast enough to kind of figure out when, if there's gonna be a district and how big it's gonna be and when we're gonna get it on, for a vote, those kind of things. So she just conveyed to me that absent more communication with the county commission, she believed what they would do at the next meeting would be likely to just sort of vote for it, to vote for a district to be created regardless, so that we sort of have the option, whichever way it is, to use it, even if we didn't get to that point. But again, I've not been really involved in planning or deciding that, but I just, she communicated that to me. I felt like this, it's not technically a Hermosa's district, it's maybe bigger than that, but that affects more people than just this town. But so I felt like I needed to let you guys know that she had that, they may be planning on an action like that with the county.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
I think from what I'm seeing, there seems to be a little bit of a uncertainty about what role we do play in it. And the statute says, I don't know if you read it, it says we have to resolve to be included. So we have to pass a resolution in order to be included. So if the county basically does the map and everything before we pass that resolution, there's a blind spot where Hermosa is. So I think we need to get ahead of the cart and as soon as possible look at that. But I don't think we need, I think part of it is there's the idea that the entire district should have to be drawn up before the city passes the resolution, but I don't think that's true. I think we can essentially pass a resolution saying we would like to be included in it regardless, without necessarily knowing exactly the boundaries.
I think that's right. I think it may be something we want to think about for the next meeting, to have something ready to go on that.
Yeah, but the one thing I would want to consider when Hermosa's talking about joining this district is how they're talking about the possibility of special assessments for the mill levy, the 60 cents on 1,000 mill levy. Is there's talk that they may try to get it set up to where it's not an even 6%, 60 cents on 1,000 across the entire district, but that it's lower for agricultural landowners, and then it's made up for by owner occupied. So it could be a situation where owner occupied taxes go up quite a bit more. So I think we just, because the total, absolute total collected needs to be no more than 60 on the thousand for the entire county's or the entire district's collection. But it can be set up to where individuals could have an increase that's much bigger than that in order to account for a reduced increase elsewhere.
Just because of population?
Yeah, so essentially, being a municipality, if that is a thing that's pushed and it's pushed far enough, we could get to the point where the people in town are paying significantly more toward this district than people out of town. So I just think that's something we should be cautious of.
Does that have to be figured out before we pass a resolution?
I don't know. I mean, if anything, maybe we could have language in there to where this is what we think we're willing to accept as our supplement if that ends up being around. Yeah, this is a discussion. This is a discussion that probably should have happened months ago. But
Okay. So do we want to schedule a group session for that in between now and the next meeting?
maybe, I mean, this may be one of the most important decisions we're involved in for kind of a long time.
Okay, Deb, did you have a?
Leo Van Zembick said something about the month of December, they were having another one of the meetings at the school that should be coming up
Yeah,
soon.
isn't it on the 11th?
10, Wednesday, yeah. Look at it in my book.
You said December 10th?
Look at it in my book.
It's right in here.
This is
Connect.
11th of December.
I was at the meeting, yeah.
My
I think you
calendar
texted me,
shows the
so.
11th.
Um,
Thursday.
December 10th, ambulance district forum. Yep,
10th, it's 11th,
yeah.
Thursday.
No, it's gonna be, I was at the meeting, the Connects meeting yesterday morning. They said it's gonna be on the
So
10th.
they changed the date on it then? Because I've
Okay,
got,
so the 10th, so, I mean, maybe we can, attend that in lieu of a work session.
Maybe. Yeah, so we just post a quorum and we can all go, right?
Yeah, let's do that. And then hopefully we can, as a town, figure out how that needs to look, and then we can draft a resolution for the next meeting. Okay, all right, thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're now at 8:10. Let's go ahead and take a quick 10-minute recess and stretch our leg. Yeah. All right.
Bella's gonna have a spot.
You know, you got that one there.
I know.
They still-
What else am I gonna do? I figured it was at their last meeting, I just didn't know.
No, it's just. This one, I got it all. I got it last week.
75 for me.
Hey, you need to go.
Yeah.
Terry, yeah, do we have a list?
Yeah.
of-
Yeah.
I have a list of like, who's filed contracts, with the like contractor license, you know, town. And then the list kind of.
Something I'm planning to do, but, figuring it out.
You got water spilling everywhere.
Yeah, that's all, guys. Maybe I just need to put their numbers. But.
Tired, you look tired.
Been long. Well, how's it been? Yes. This is that fight.
They do have some.
It's on a Monday. Yeah, on a Monday. Just really boring.
It's very nice. Thank you. It's the top part. Thank you.
Yeah, so Tuesday, I got Hill City.
And then
Yeah.
we'll start Hill City people.
Crazy. There are some really weird people live over there.
They are.
I did not say anything.
Oh.
We'll see it. It's happening.
Watch your step go on.
What?
Watch your step go on. It's all down, why you?
There's some slick spots.
They're going from me.
You gonna say me?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, really.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of doing yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was good.
Better have some.
It doesn't taste as good as it.
Oh, it really does. It really, really does.
It's nice.
Nice and moist.
It's nice of Terry to do
What that she needs to do. So
that.
I really don't have some.
No, that's what I do. Both of you,
Nice.
so you're not insulted.
Yeah, I didn't need today. I'm a spring day.
Thank you.
I just don't like them.
That's new.
Eventually, it's supposed to be water, not gonna work today, but 4 days, it could be 4 inches of snow on the ground, so. We're almost done, but. Go down east.
All right.
Gotta do, and
I got a feeling there'll be a light crowd today.
what's the holiday?
Yeah. I really like being at the work function because it was just more fun. I try not to go to those because I'm not on the board. I just want to have a leadership. But I thought that's an interesting fun.
I don't mind taking a 10-minute break, but I ain't gonna stand up.
I'm trying not to stick in the truck too much.
Me neither.
Yeah.
It's not like cold in there. I wouldn't start.
You like the way you talk.
Is it?
I really want to watch that in there, then we're not getting like complain. But it's tough because you
It's
don't
hard.
want to flow.
I don't mind the battery
Yeah.
on one day.
Well, because
Chat.
Yeah.
The grant that we are talking about.
Mark.
Was paid for and to be written by headhunters.
Yeah.
Also paid.
Your cake looks good, Terry. You're gonna pass? Well, yeah, you know, I ate
They are
some pie for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 Wednesday dance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that little day. White wolf cake. It's not sweet cake, and the frosting is really, just really thin, and then they got.
I looked at that. This is,
So
I. Well, not out there, is it?
Yeah, I'm learning to hang on a little longer than I do.
You didn't go. So I didn't work on that. And then,
there's a lot of.
Oh, they're in.
Yeah. Anytime when I do the jail, just very much.
she's got her birthday.
I only did one grant my whole life.
Sunday, Saturday, Monday,
Sunday.
We worked on
the last day of the month.
but there again, it's not just,
Thank you for asking.
Friday.
Engineer.
This Friday?
Yeah.
You know,
Really?
And
We're so close.
Fine.
So it's
One
not
thing
big
stays
now.
that or-
I know I called her, I said, I'm just visiting them, and that was like 2 years ago, I called her. And we asked her a question about.
What were you?
grants. And she.
We're
was
on
so
you.
Oh, it's my problem.
all that time.
We did have a meeting.
Mr. James?
I've had a lot of stuff in the last week.
You know,
Should cut it down.
yeah, I kind of quit squeeze myself, and, you know.
Have to have people come to buy out there, Thanksgiving. I mean,
Yeah, when I had, having 2 young kids too doesn't help, because there's always stuff around. There's always-
grandson stops after he gets home from customer. So we call him cookie dough. It was donuts before. Now.
Ambulance was big talk
Now
yesterday.
it's donuts. Now it's
Oh, and cookies.
You can sell that.
I didn't realize they were.
You can try that.
Spread it out. It's typically affected by. You figure out what money you need and then you divide it, and that's the additional levy. but you-
Right, they're gonna
but
do a
you
levy,
can-
but they wanna do a lower levy and then a special assessment, but the total still can't be what the broad levy at 60 on 1,000 would have been. So they have an absolute ceiling of the entire area at
There's
60
like,
on
there's some road
1,000.
districts that do, they do it by them, like.
So what do you meeting on the
this amount,
10th
this property,
then?
And
I,
that's kind of unusual.
I have 60,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they're talking about doing it not by the
so
total property value, but the
I'm
improvement
sure
value.
I'll have to
Oh.
ask
And
Julio
that
or
would-
somebody.
That could put us in a position where we kind of get slammed by comparison.
Yeah, because. The improvement, I mean, yeah.
If we make the district bigger though, then wouldn't that help alleviate that?
But if it's ag land, they're gonna be.
Well, we can-
lower than-
They already are guaranteed to be,
Yeah.
and they kind of want to push them even lower.
What if we push it out to Fairburn, up 40, up 36?
Yeah, I got all my notes. All those are elevated.
They would have to be, because there's a third portion of the county that does not, that's serviced by that contract from the city of Rapid. Otherwise, like Buffalo Gap has an ambulance district.
Oh, they
And
do?
then, yeah, the Custer's comes over so far. So I think it has to be that remaining area that does not currently have a district.
Okay, so if we just maximize that, it would minimize the individual impact as much.
Because
as
I
we
was
can.
surprised when, at the county, that I didn't realize that there was an ambulance district over here.
Well, you guys about ready to get started again? Righty. Okay. So let's reconvene the meeting. Thank you. So we're on to number 12, economic development. And there's an update from Mr. Service.
Yeah, so next meeting yesterday at 9 a.m. No HAGD meeting, just connects, but we did end up talking about the ambulance district anyway, as the vast majority of the conversation. Ambulance district will be on the June 2nd ballot is pretty much the position that they're taking right now. December 10th will be the second ambulance district forum. They're gonna have new questionnaires and everything. The 2026 support from the Rapid City Fire Department is not currently funded. There was earlier talk that it was already funded, but now, as I was told, they didn't actually fund 2026 yet. So the county's looking at doing that. 2025 was 59,000. They're talking 2026 may increase by up to 40%. So, but that still needs to be funded. As far as the area. So essentially, they really are talking about covering everything that is not currently in a district, going down to the border of the Hot Springs district, east to Spring Creek Road, which would include Hart Ranch and all of that. Yeah, all the uncovered area. So very big district. But that does include a fair amount, at that point would include a fair amount of Pennington County. So we did talk a little bit about how that would bring in the need for, well, any cross-county ambulance district. If the district covers territory of more than one county, then you have to set up a public hearing with a quorum of commissioners from both counties all together in one place for one really big public hearing. So that's gonna be a thing that's gonna have to be sorted out. So yeah, there's still a lot of steps to take before what is, they're hoping for as an election of the district board members, as I understand, on this June 2nd ballot. So there's 6 months to get a whole lot done. So that's why us trying to get our resolution of saying, all right, we're comfortable with being in the district as a municipality on these conditions is something we should definitely get through. And then the only other real thing to come out of the Connects meeting, they're scheduling a cleanup for the cemetery. They're penciling either the April 18th or April 25th as a day to kind of get the community together to go up there and clean up the cemetery.
They talked to Margie Jones on that.
I don't know who they talked to. I was just absorbing information.
She's ahead of that.
I imagine they did then. Yeah. Economic. Only other, only other thing for economic development. I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. I'm gonna, yeah, so last year, I think it was, or was it early this year, I was, maybe late last year, talking about how I talked to Roy, that owns Roy's Drive-In, and it sounded like they were gonna have it open this past season. Did not pan out, kind of kept my eye on it. No real serious buyers, so I'm just gonna put together a plan, and I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna figure out a way that I can open that drive-in. Putting together a business model, talking to investors. It's, sometimes if you want something done, you just gotta do it yourself. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, good luck.
You ain't got nothing else to do, do you? Oh, Lord.
I can make popcorn.
Yes. Also do kettle corn. Just, I lived in England for 5 years. Kettle corn, you have both salt and sweet. You can mix them, take your pick.
Well, looks like you got your first employee. All righty, well, thanks for the updates and good luck with that.
We'll see.
Yeah. So on to finance office.
So I don't have any monthly financials since only the second. I just got the bank statement yesterday, so I will have those for the next meeting. Apologize. As far as department updates, the only thing I have is we are currently interviewing this week for the administrative assistant position, so hopefully we can get that accomplished. Third, I had talked to Ben Elliott, and he had offered us that 2-year audit, so he did give me a proposal, so, and he does promise that he'll have it done by February 15th.
Okay.
So I just need I guess a motion to approve that, and I can send it to him.
Make a motion, we approve to have independent audit, do the audit by February 15th for $9,000.
Okay, we'll leave that pending a second. I just wanted to ask Terry a question real quick. So we did have a motion, I believe, at our last regular meeting concerning this that Linda made. What was that motion?
Let's see. Most Kramer, second Mr. Richardson, to approve a 2-year audit for $9,000. Oh, we did.
Yeah. So
We
we,
amended it, okay. They had to add the deadline of February.
right,
We
so,
voted on, okay, so maybe it's already approved.
yeah, it looks like we
Okay.
already approved it
My
at
bad.
the last meeting, so that's
Okay,
great.
so we're good. So, anyway, so with that.
So I'll look around my.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
So we got that one done.
Okay. And then the second, so we had approved, switching over to Midco, but then when I was going through the paperwork, they put in the phone number, and apparently they can't offer their phone service to us.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what we want to do.
Will,
And I should have,
We don't have much choice to
Do we-
to stay with
do we stay with
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore for everything? And Mount Rushmore does have a fiber optic. Yeah, I just said, well, let me go
talk
out
to
to the
Mount
board.
Rushmore and see if they would give us the same that Midco,
I can ask. I mean,
you know,
they,
because they won't have to do any installing or anything, which they might consider doing that.
well, right now we're on DSL, so they'll
Oh,
have to,
okay.
they'll have to be fiber, so.
That should be included, though, you know, like they ran lines, they're right out back.
Right.
They should just hook up.
So,
so did you guys already find out? Okay, here it is right here. This is the Mount Rushmore fiber cost.
mhm.
And then we're looking
We're looking
at
at that
200 of.
it's 200 mega, yeah, which is one.
6 months is 115. We were just gonna do a year. last time,
Yeah,
is that
just to
right?
see.
Do you think there's any chance they would give us a break on that? To
I mean, I can certainly ask, and, you know, because I actually happened to call them because I wasn't sure if that was our router or not. And when I called, I talked to a gentleman there and he said, oh, we need to get over there and do your fiber. And I said, well, we haven't. And I said, actually, we're looking at possibly switching to a different vendor. And he's like, oh, okay. So they may be, it's worth I guess it's worth a try to ask. So I can,
Yeah, let's try that. And then if they do, then
Yeah.
just, I guess
Okay.
it'll just be an automatic switch then, right?
right. Well, we're with Mount Rushmore right now, and then,
Right.
yeah, we'll just have to approve switching to fiber.
Right,
optic,
'cause
I
they'll
think.
be
So, yeah.
more money per month. Okay. All right, Trina, did you have a question or comment?
Well, I know we already pay Golden West for some things and don't they offer, these services for business too? That maybe they can give us a discount because we're already paying them for, support with our office.
Yeah, we do, they do our security and
Yeah.
computer stuff.
Yeah, but they're like, they would at most be an ISP. Is that true? They don't
They-
provide actual infrastructure services though, right?
I don't know, their website says that they do business, internet, phone, cable, but so did Midco and they couldn't service us.
I use Golden West for my business for phone and internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In customer.
In customer.
So I don't, yeah, that's the only thing I don't know. I mean, I can
I'm
call,
pretty happy with them, I mean, compared to
Yeah,
what I had before, so,
we had it at the county and
yeah.
I can call and ask.
Yeah.
I'll call Golden West and then also talk to Mount Rushmore to see.
They might be renting somebody else's lines, like leasing,
Right,
you know, Verizon's out, you know, everybody has Verizon towers without knowing.
yeah.
They might be using a different provider.
I'll do some more research on that and
Yeah.
bring it to the next meeting.
All right. Okay, great. So now we're on to old business. Approved water tap for neighborhood referred to as East Hermosa water users.
And that was left from the last meeting,
Right,
right?
from the last meeting.
I just put on there, so, you know. And I know,
So,
yeah, Anthony probably had some information, I think, because you talked to Alan Bishop.
Well, that's kind of what I didn't answer. So basically I we got the hot tap price. Chuck actually called up to Rapid and got a price of $600 to hot tap it if it's all prepared. So it all has to be dug up and exposed and ready to tap. And then they'll come down and tap it. And then it has to go into a meter structure. And then the meter quote came in to Terry today. It was like $3,200.
3267, I think is.
And then it would tie into the existing line going east. So, I told them that, you're probably looking at a budget of, 10 grand, potentially 12 grand
Mhm.
with the meter structure. So,
Okay.
still outstanding. I mean, maybe we get it from the inventory that's up there on the north end. A little less expensive precast, but, there's not enough room in that existing structure where Leo's meter is that goes to his horse stables for the master meter, the new master meter. So it need another structure between that and the tap. And Alan and I talked about that, and that was kind of the way he thought as well. It would just not be enough room. So yeah, that's, they're looking at kind of a plus or minus 10 grand, 10 grand plus or minus 20%. And they've got to get a proposal on that. So if they're, at least they could look at that budget, but
Okay, thank you. Chuck?
That's a very congested area right there. There is a storm drain that goes through there, 6-inch water main, 8-inch sewer main, fiber optic, and primary power. That I'm gonna be working around the whole time. So, it'll be a tremendous amount of handwork, exposing this stuff, and then have to physically, put the saddle on and the cork, and it'll come down, and I kind of figured on 2-inch because there's not any difference in the tap fee for 1.5 to 2-inch. 2-inch is a way more popular size, number one, and that way anything else come into play, it would be upsized, and now they probably could handle something else in the cost of things. It's gonna be a fairly expensive little venture. Badger has discontinued the compound meters because of the complications. And in this case, it's similar to the truck stop, that low usage is not calculated correctly with a conventional meter. So you have to have a compound that measures small flow as opposed to large flow. Most of the larger meters are only designed to be running at 70% capacity. So when that doesn't happen, they don't register correctly. So that's why cost of the meter is so high. But it also is the only way of tabulating the collective usage of those people out there, number one, and also leak detection. The normal usage to, we've got about 12, 14 people on a 2-inch line going north. They don't like it, and it's not very good. However, it's not our baby. So it will suffice to get it done, and should be ample.
Yeah, so, to clarify, we are just approving that they're allowed to tap our main in order to,
Basically, we have not had an agreement with them over the years
right,
to furnish them water. So consequently, it does not fall under state statute of how much water pressure and how many gallons a minute and that kind of stuff that they have to have. It very likely will change that situation for them a little bit by upsizing the tap and taking the responsibility of liability that the water line that's going under the road now, which has got about 40 years age on it. And we're fortunate enough that it will on the north side of the highway to kind of give us a little reminder. I've been bawling about it for several years, but we're going to take precedence.
right. And, yes, ma'am.
So who will pay for this? Will they have to pay for it?
That's my understanding, that we are just allowing them to tap the main and that they will, set up their structure in there off of our main, including the meter pit and the meters that they just discussed. And then I guess, I don't know how much line they're planning on putting out, but if, they'll connect back up to their line at some point after that. Did we get any of the agreements back from them? Okay. Is that an issue, Mr. James, that we didn't receive those agreements back? As far as this goes, this item of business?
So My understanding is this tap is to form the connection, then everything downstream will be their responsibility, right? So,
Yes, sir.
so I think forming the connection, that part of it's probably on the town, but, because that's the way we got it written off, but everything down the line, so the meters and those kind of things should be on them. But if that's not their understanding, or they don't wanna, agree to that, then, I mean, I don't know, I mean, somebody's gotta pay that bill, so.
Right, I mean, we did have the agreement that you drew up that we passed last time.
Right.
And that was pertaining to, I guess, the results of. So what they're trying to do is be proactive right now, because the agreement basically said that we're not gonna be responsible for any repairs or anything out there, right? So the fact that we haven't gotten any of them signed back at this time doesn't have an impact on this item of business.
I don't think it's just because again, the tap is the connection point, so I think that that's still on us to provide the connection point. It's not
I see.
not
Okay,
the stuff that's
sorry.
down the line, right?
All right.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
One of the other things is that it is residential use. I mean, there is some ag there, so you can't really consider it commercial. But, and the town has an ordinance that says that the town supplies the meters except for in commercial applications. So this is domestic use, so I guess you need to battle a situation of whether you're gonna pay $3,000 per meter or not. It will be tapped in the city limits. And the water will be distributed outside the city limits, so that's the idea of the agreement with them, to furnish some water in the first place. And, obviously, we're gonna be charging them for the water that's being used, so, but it is residential. If you wanna kick that around, well, you can.
All right, Dan?
And I thought, in our reading of that ordinance too, it was 1 inch. Anything over that, they were responsible for, and we made them pay for it on anybody else that's had 2 inch or more. Anything over 1 inch. That was a big controversy for years. And we wanted to go away from paying for the meters in the home too.
Well,
But in any agreements that we made, we also made the circumstances in the motion that they would be responsible for it. Whatever the circumstances were, anything above that 1 inch meter.
that was in the original one pertaining to that, those houses out there.
And this was what we changed and went to for policy after, because of the larger meters, the larger costs. Nothing's been changed or written differently.
Okay.
Well, anything over 1 inch is, say, domestic. It's usually commercial. Normal household is 1 inch. But when you're servicing 3 different properties, then it makes sense to upsize it enough so that you're not doing it again.
But if you're gonna do that, you're going to a 2 inch. That changes circumstances, plus they're out of town users.
They're paying for our town usage now as far as rate. You want to make sure that everything's ducks are in a row, how you're gonna handle it.
Oh, maybe we need to have a conversation with Alan again and see what his other,
If you want to table this one until we get some
oh yeah,
clarification.
I'm gonna
What
need
he
an answer
expects.
is who's gonna pay for it before we put it in with both feet and then, oh.
Well, they need to have an agreement amongst themselves how they're gonna take care of it. If they want water, that's what they're gonna have to do.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and that'll be, I guess, their business, how that's all gonna be taken care of. Did you have a comment, Aaron? Thought I saw your hand up.
Yeah, kind of, it just seems like we definitely could use more information, but as it stands right now, there's a point, the end point of the town's liability, by my understanding, as it stands right now, is that the meter that's on the south side of the highway.
Correct.
No further. That's how it stands now. And there's nothing really wrong we need to address. I think we should definitely not do anything until we make sure that our liability doesn't increase from that point. Yeah. We don't end up doing something like letting them tap another line down the road. We need to make sure that they still have liability even in that case. Because the reason our liability ends there is because we're liable to the meter. That's
We
that
have a
point.
means of shutting it off
Right.
under any circumstance, non-payment or breakage or whatever, you know, it's just.
Or a new tap, that's a little bit of a different pickle.
I think you're talking about the valve, right? Not the meter?
Well, yeah.
There's a meter there also though, right?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a master meter
master
in
meter,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another meter on the
But that's for
north
just
side.
a horse barn.
Oh, okay.
And then there's more up in the neighborhood.
Yeah, they have individual meters in the households out there.
All right. Trina, then Anthony.
I just wanted to say, I was looking at our ordinances and there's a bunch in our ordinances you might want to review because it talks about not just the water, but also the pipes and stuff, so.
Yeah. All right, Anthony.
So if we're treating it like a commercial user, so that way we're kind of, our liability is ending there. You know, I don't know what pressures they do have out there. But if it was to break and we had to go to a negative pressure, really on those commercial users, there should be a PRC, a pressure, you know, there should be a backflow preventer. That they don't compromise the rest of our system, since it's so long and it extends so far away. And it's sort of just outside the normal, you know, commercial situation. Having something to protect the town, the rest of the town system, because, you know, getting out there to shut it off is gonna take time, right? And, most of the time, the state mandates that you have backflow preventers on bigger lines like that. And I also think that getting away from something more normal, we should make sure the state's okay with whatever we do.
Okay.
When we submit something to the A&R to our portal and they can review this. I've done it before where it was sewer for a campsite and it was eliminating 5 sites and adding 5 sites. And just by them saying, well, that's a wash and that's okay. You know, you're covered, everything's in writing. Here, you're eliminating a commercial tap, or adding a commercial tap on the north side of the highway, so it's a pretty similar situation. But they usually want a grandfather, they don't want a grandfather, you know, now they want it up to the current standards of the drinking water code, so.
Okay. Yeah, so this is something we'll have to table for now, I think. And then can address all those things going forward. So we can make the motion to table.
I'll second that.
I'll have to review the ordinances too. That went out on my phone. Second, any further discussion on this one? 18, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to table carries. So we'll review that one at the next meeting. Okay, so on to second reading of the ordinance 73 traffic schedules. And this is the version of the one that we read at the last meeting. You recall we did do some kind of on the fly edits before the first reading, which were captured during the first reading. And so this draft here does reflect those edits that we made last time for this second reading. It's kind of a mouthful, but I hope you all understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and we'll read this one. Chapter 73, traffic schedules, schedule 1, speed limits. And again, schedule 1, speed limits. A, it shall be unlawful for any person or persons except law enforcement officers while on duty or emergency service personnel while operating an emergency vehicle to drive or operate any automobile, truck, motorcycle, or other vehicle at a speed greater than the posted speed limit through the corporate limits of the town within a zone marked by highway speed signs. B, upon conviction of a violation of Division A above, the person shall be punished by a fine in an amount set by the Board of Trustees as per the current fee schedule, or by imprisonment for a period not exceeding 30 days, or by both a fine and imprisonment. So there's that. Aaron?
I guess I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Aaron makes a motion to
I
approve.
second that.
Don seconds. Do we have or need any further discussion on that one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye, motion carries. And then on to the traffic violation fee schedule. So,
We didn't find anything in our fee schedule.
okay,
So,
right. So it sounds like we need to make a determination on what that fee should be. So do we need to discuss it now and then put it on the agenda for the next meeting as far as the action? So we can have a quick, maybe 10-minute discussion on this one. If we need to. Do you all have any ideas on that?
Rolling scale, right? Like 5 miles over is 1 mile, 10 miles over is whatever you want. The exceeded the limit is kind of how we imagine we want to set that up. But there's an absolute ceiling that I think we're allowed to charge by statute. I think statute caps what we can do for a fine. I think I'm remembering it at $200, I think it's.
200.
I think it's $200. I think.
When was that instituted? 1970?
Yeah.
I mean, essentially,
Municipal enforcement.
right, but essentially the penalty is fine or imprisonment or both.
$200 and 300 days. That's an imbalance.
The period is 30 days.
Right, $200 and 30 days. Right.
So, those don't really comport with each other.
If it was $200 in 3 days, that would be more.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
kind of my.
Yeah, no, that's.
Joe?
I think personally I would check with the county and the other municipalities and see what they're charging before I make any decision.
Sounds like sage advice. $50 is a good attention getter, and after that, it would be 100, so.
Yeah.
I don't think many of them don't do it again if they get charged $50 the first go around.
Definitely not gonna do it again if they get $200 the first.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Depends on the speed, I mean, how much they're violating it. I've seen them go up Whitney Street 60 mile an hour.
I've seen them go up Ferguson Street 50 miles an hour.
Well, the going back to the main reason Eric really asked for this was state highway. So to give him authority to. Yeah, let them know that there's now. In town?
All you gotta do is pinch one or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
the winter spends pretty fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, the goal here is to help make this intersection, Main Street at 79, and then also Main Street at 40, a lot safer by drawing people's attention to the speed limit. And then I know Linda is talking to the DOT to see if we can even have a lower that to 50 miles an hour, try and create a better safety corridor through Hermosa on the highway. And then that way, per this language in this updated ordinance, then we could charge them based on the posted speed limit. But I'm in agreement as far as doing it on a sliding scale. We have a certain minimum limit to get their attention. Maybe it's $50. And then after that,
Second offense being one.
we work our way up to the maximum. I mean, and really it's just to try to illustrate the point that the people of Hermosa are kind of done with people from wherever they're from coming through here a little bit too fast or a lot too fast. And we've all seen them. So, yeah.
Scott, we can scale it by the amount of the violation, right? Like 30 and 25 versus 70 and 50 versus, I feel like that's a better scaling system than first offense, second offense, third offense. I don't even know.
It creates some problems.
Yeah.
So if you have first, second, third offenses, then it becomes incumbent on the prosecutor to prove the prior offense.
Yeah,
You're going to be getting records of the prior convictions. It becomes a bit of a hassle. So I mean, again, if I, well, now that I'm the permanent town attorney, when if these folks come to court, I mean, I will be the one seeing them. And so if it's somebody that I know is I have pretty memory for folks, somebody I'm seeing coming in here quite a bit with problems, and if they're coming to court anyway with it, I can, sort of figure out who's a repeat offender, that kind of thing. But if they're somebody that Eric is just citing, then I don't think you want to get into priors. Because like one of the stats people are familiar with is like DUIs, right? And you have to prove a prior DUI, and that's a whole process when you're trying to prove priors. So I would try to steer. I think it would be more economical to steer toward a graduated fine based on the speed scale. And I think you could just do it in 10-mile-per-hour increments is the normal way I see it.
and it could even that sliding scale could be different for gravel, light town roads versus the highway. Right? Because I mean,
You could do that. You got to create some extra language about those classes of roads.
in this, this is all in the fee schedule form, so it's a little bit, I guess, easier.
Okay, do we have any further ideas or comments on this one? Dan?
You definitely want to remember it's a small town. So anything you do is going to be a reflection back upon the board. You're the first ones, not the town cop, because you guys are setting the ordinance. So, being in a common sense value and a small town value, keeping, like you say, costs at a minimum. Because you're gonna have to look at the whole aspect. If you're gonna start pushing that issue, every kid on an ATV, every kid on a UTV, anybody that's teaching a kid to drive, you're gonna need to reflect upon all of them. And if he doesn't, and he lets them go by, and then he catch a speeder, and that person says, well, you picked on Sam or Harry, but you didn't pick on Joe. There's gonna be some real discrepancies there too, so you gotta really pick it up, plus getting all your signs at the proper height and getting everything brought up to speed too, where it's defensible. Because you're not only gonna have speed, you're gonna have stops, yields, everything else too, that you're gonna have a reflection on.
Yep, yeah, so for right now, we're just trying to address the speed, but we'll have to get to it all eventually, right? Okay, all right, well, that's a great discussion on that one. So now we're on to the items from constituents. So is there any comment from anybody or questions? Did you have one, ma'am? Were you just here as an observer?
I'm sorry?
Were you just here as an observer or did you have some input?
I am a resident of Hermosa, but I haven't managed to get to the meetings before, so I thought maybe I want to come and find out what's going on.
All right. Well, how was your first meeting in a while?
Interesting.
Okay, great.
Cake was good.
Some of it I could hear, some of it I couldn't. And I don't know what some of the background, but it was interesting to see how you all work, so I can figure out who I need to call.
Well, I think that'd be Mr. Service.
It's Calvin Coons. The card is right up there on the desk.
Yeah, no. So just as a reminder too, these meetings are recorded and they're put up on YouTube now.
Yep.
And
If you ever
so-
want to see what's going on.
Yeah, so if you had a hard time hearing today, then you can likely review the recording and, turn it up to whatever volume you need to, right? So that's great. Yeah, thanks for coming. Deb, did you have a comment?
I do. So did anybody contact the Custer County DOT before you put the things in the hole? You gotta get permission from him,
Linda talked to Bruce and he said since we did it last year, that was good.
but he probably don't know that it's different
Twice the size.
and weight, because we had to weigh the one we put up.
I know Linda did ask him.
And then he had to have black, felt on the back because he did not want his, holes scratched out, so.
I can email him tomorrow and ask him and let him know that they're bigger than the one
They're
we
a
had
lot
last year
heavier.
and heavier. Okay.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Terry.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know, Deb, and
Yeah.
that reminder. Dan?
Yeah, I've got a few items here and that I wasn't able to attend a couple of the meetings there, so. The last meeting, there was a statement made by a trustee that as far as the board's position. That I felt was totally no neutrality at all. On as far as being on the board and what we've had in the past. Everybody said they didn't want the past brought up anymore, but yet the past still keeps being brought up. The personality keeps being brought up and very evident on the tapes of what's going on in situations. I feel that if the board's gonna continue to push for change, then the people on the board also need to push for change and their attitudes need to be following that to be more professional and to be more demonstrative of where they want to go as far as in the positioning of fixing the town, putting the past where it was. I also feel that there was situations where I see the costs that are being spent on the different projects, whether it be involved in town streets, town dumpsters, whatever else circumstances, that, it was offered as a volunteer basis to fix all of that and continue to do some of that. None of it was ever acted on. We just ignored. And once again, personality. You get the citizens that are involved and then you get members that are sitting on the fence and make promises, make commitments, and they can't make the right decisions because they don't want to push to the other side. So it's very evident on them circumstances too. As far as the Xmas lights go and stuff, we were totally just in shock and awe about that, but we had definitely wanted to invest ourselves into the time, worked hard to help get the decorations along with others, and then basically accused of possibly stealing, holding, destroying, not knowing what counts are, when we were willing to go through them, put them up, and make sure everything was good for free until all the accusations happened. And once again, that's the past and the fence, coming back on them circumstances. And with us, it's a big thing, with us, I feel we're one of probably the larger taxpayers in the community, and we take a heavier interest in it. And we take a heavier interest in our economic development, which everybody kind of shoves and pushes everything across the side. I've never been a fence setter. I've always drove one direction and always cared about the community. But when I see personalities and reflections of others, it really is a disappointment in how they act and how they are a reflection. Our whole thing with what we spend on our Christmas lighting for this community is all designed and has been to help the businesses as well as the people in this community. The amount of money we spend on that every year is well more than what I think anybody really realizes. Some more than some of the people make on their annual income. But it's a situation, we do it for family, we do it for the nonprofits, and we do the donations to nonprofits. And we look at the situations where it's the best for the community and always have. So it's a matter of, you've got comments about us, please do it to our faces, not behind our back, not Facebook. Face it like an individual should. And if not, zip it. Plain and simple. If you haven't got a good comment, then please don't make any comments at all. It's what we were taught by our parents. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate what you guys are doing. But please be fair in your representation.
All right, thank you for those reminders. Is there any other items of constituents, Rena?
I just want to say, when we left the last meeting, I was concerned about the special election, just because of the way the law is written and all that, we had this question. But I did my homework and I feel really grateful that the board went ahead and made the motion for that. And I just wanted to say I'm thankful for our new lawyer too, because he's easy to understand and he doesn't, well, I shouldn't say what he doesn't do. But anyway, I was just gonna say, I appreciate your input and how you're looking to follow it. Leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other items, any other input? Okay, trustee input, Aaron, do you have any?
Yeah, it's kind of a long meeting, but we got through quite a bit. Yeah, I think the special election is gonna be good. I think we're moving in a direction to where the people really are starting to realize that their voices are being heard, and I think making sure that every seat is by election is a good way to continue that sentiment. And so everybody, and I don't think we ever have to revisit any situations where it's a battle or where we have factions, I think is a fair word. I think we can move past that, and I think the election system is designed to help us move past that. So everybody knows at the end of the day, no matter who ends up in that seat, that it's a choice of the people. And I hope I speak for everybody when I say, no matter who ends up in that seat, they're gonna be seen as a valuable team member, and I will 100% support the citizens' decisions, no matter who it ends up being. And I think that's a good step toward the Hermosa of the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's one other thing. I heard something happen this weekend. There was a birthday.
And there's one coming up next weekend.
And there's one coming up next weekend. I heard there's a presidential birthday over the weekend. There's gonna be a public works birthday next weekend. So happy birthday to y'all.
All right, thank you.
And if anybody wants to sing, I won't stop them.
Okay, Donna. You have any-
Well, I think we should sing happy birthday. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, California. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
Well,
That was fun.
only once a year get to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I would like to say, comment what Aaron said, this special election is what citizens want. And that's what we work for as a citizens. And that's all I have to say. And then, and mine is on. Okay, same day the ambulance meeting is, the senior citizens are doing their holiday meal that day too, at noon, straight up noon. So if anybody can make it to that, I'm sure they'd appreciate that.
Very good.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't have any input other than, thanks for the good meeting. Tried to move through things as quickly as we could. sometimes just takes time. So anyways, I don't think we need to do an executive session. So thank you all for coming. I guess I'll make the motion to adjourn at 9:06, seconded by Donna. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.